Chapter 1130. This is a purple light rabbit. Wang Feng introduced, speed-type soul beasts aren't suitable for you. They're not compatible with you. I told you that even if you choose these cute ones, you can't be the first one. You can even raise them yourself when you're stronger. Wang Feng frowned slightly. More than half of these soul beasts had the aura of an evil soul beast. However, they weren't completely infected. But it's too cute. Xiao Xiao's heart was bursting. She couldn't help but want to walk over. Be careful, Wang Feng shouted coldly. He waved his hand, and the surrounding leaves formed a long tree chain under the control of his spiritual power. It wrapped around Xiao Xiao's waist and pulled her back. In the next moment, the originally cute purple light rabbit suddenly opened its mouth and revealed its sharp teeth. Its fur stood on end as it pounced toward Xiao Xiao. However, it missed. Xiao Xiao, Wang Dong, and the others hurriedly walked over and surrounded Xiao Xiao. They looked around vigilantly. Xiao Xiao's face turned green. She didn't expect the cute purple light rabbit to be so fierce when it attacked. Furthermore, it was extremely fast. It was like a streak of purple light that disappeared in a flash. Teacher, why are purple light rabbits so violent? Ma Xiaodao was stunned for a moment. She was about to release her phoenix martial soul to suppress these soul beasts when Wang Feng stopped her. Don't release your martial soul yet. These soul beasts have been infected with the special dark energy of evil soul beasts. It's troublesome. There's something strange about this purple maple forest. Wang Feng frowned slightly. Evil soul beasts. Ma Xiaodao exclaimed softly. The purple maple forest is publicly recognized as the safest soul beast forest outside of Shrek City. Many teachers bring their students here to train. The evil soul beasts inside have already been cleaned up by the Academy's experts. How did this happen? Occasionally, they'll send a team of teachers to check it out. I came here last time. I barely felt the aura of evil soul beasts. Shrek Academy's measures were still in place. They would clean up a soul beast forest that was so close to the city to get rid of the evil soul beasts as quickly as possible. However, they didn't care about the other soul beasts and left them to their students. Therefore, Yin Xiaozhi felt that Wang Feng's choice of the purple maple forest was relatively safe. They didn't need protection. I remember that the purple light rabbit is a very docile rabbit. Wang Dong interrupted. Wang Feng took 2 steps forward and looked at the surrounding soul beasts for a long time. In the end, his gaze was fixed on one of them. One of them was more than 1 meter tall and 2 meters long. It looked like a rhinoceros. Its entire body was glowing with a purple light, and its skin was sparkling with a purple light. Although it wasn't big enough, its 2-meter-long body hid a great amount of power. Amethyst rhino, Wang Feng said. Hikaitu, this soul beast suits you. Hikaitu looked at the amethyst rhinoceros, and his eyes immediately lit up when he saw its robust muscles and sturdy body. Around 500 years old, this kind of amethyst rhinoceros is still quite rare. Wang Feng sized him up. His defensive power is outstanding. If he reaches 10,000 years, his body will be like a fortress. Most importantly, his speed was not slow. The amethyst rock on his body was a very light but strong special metal. As a result, speed was not his weakness. Coupled with his thick skin and dry flesh, his defensive power is astonishing. It's just that it's relatively difficult to cultivate. This kind of amethyst rhino probably needs to eat special amethyst rocks in order to ensure its growth. He gave a simple introduction. Hikaitu's eyes shone brighter. What do you think? Wang Feng stood in front of them, and his aura leaked out. These soul beasts only dare to howl. Some wanted to attack, but others were afraid. However, 100-year soul beasts weren't very intelligent. Very good. Teacher, I'm very satisfied. Hikaitu's eyes lit up as he stared at the amethyst rhino. Seeing this, Wang Feng nodded slightly. At present, this amethyst rhino was the most suitable soul beast for Hikaitu. Since he'd promised Fan Yu and Zhou Yi, he would naturally help Hikaitu find a suitable amethyst soul beast. With this amethyst rhino, Hikaitu would have a standard of reference if he wanted to find a soul-bonding beast in the future. Come here. Wang Feng waved his hand towards the amethyst rhino. The 7 purple patterns on his body faintly lit up, and the pure aura from his body instantly attracted the amethyst rhino. Moo! The amethyst rhino walked towards Wang Feng. Its amethyst back looked like a layer of armor, and it was rather beautiful. However, there were many black cracks burning on its back. A trace of pain flashed through its eyes. Wang Feng placed his palm on the black cracks, and a purple pattern on his left hand faintly lit up, absorbing the special dark energy within them. Moo! In an instant, the amethyst rhino let out a long and comfortable roar. It was like a person who had a few thorns stuck in its body and had to pull them out. It was both comfortable and painful. Wang Feng passed a few rocks to Hikaitu and said, "These rocks are rather special. Although they're not amethyst rocks, they're still rare rocks. Feed these rocks to it first, and it'll become friendly with you." Hikaitu hurriedly took the rocks. The rest of the people also looked on curiously. Hikaitu was a little nervous as he walked in front of the amethyst rhino. He placed the rocks in his palm and fed them to the amethyst rhino, as if he were feeding a puppy. 100-year soul beasts aren't very intelligent. Wang Feng glanced at them. This is also why I asked you to start choosing from 100-year soul beasts. Xiao Tao can choose 1,000-year soul beasts because she's strong, and it's easy for her to gain their approval. However, you guys can't do the same. After choosing a soul beast, you have to understand its preferences. It's like raising a pet, but you have to pay attention to its habits. Basically, as long as you gain the soul beast's approval and it has no ill intentions towards you, you'll succeed. After that, you just have to cultivate its feelings, and then you can sign a life contract. This won't take long. A 100-year soul beast will take 1 or 2 days at most. Wang Feng pointed at Hikaitu. After eating the rocks that Wang Feng had given to Long Xie, the amethyst rhino's eyes lit up and it let out a happy roar. Even though soul beasts didn't speak the same language, everyone could hear the happiness in its roar. Hikaitu was stunned. He didn't expect the amethyst rhino to be so happy just by feeding it a few rocks that Wang Feng had given him. Hikaitu rubbed the amethyst rhino's head. Its amethyst-like skin felt good to the touch. He was a little excited. He had been engrossed in researching all sorts of ice-cold soul tools, and now that he felt this different rhythm of life, he suddenly realized that this world had a different kind of beauty. "Teacher, when can I sign a life contract with it?" Hikaitu asked excitedly. End of chapter. Chapter 1131. Get some more time. Wang Feng glanced at the amethyst rhino. Once his injuries are healed, he'll be closer to you. You don't know much about life soul contracts. It's not difficult for you to comprehend them. You just have to make sure the formation and the oath are perfect. The most important thing is that you have to communicate with him mentally when you sign the contract. Hikaitu nodded. His teacher had told him a lot about life soul contracts on the way here. It wasn't hard to understand, but he had his doubts about its various effects. Was it really that mysterious? Take this amethyst rhino with you and move forward. Wang Feng smiled. Observe this amethyst rhino. Imagine that you'll train together in the future. This amethyst rhino has high growth potential. After 10,000 years of evolution, it'll become even stronger. It might even be the first one. When the time comes, you'll be the first to name it. The amethyst rhino followed beside Hikaitu, occasionally rubbing its head intimately against him. Hikaitu laughed foolishly from time to time. 100-year soul beasts were easy to coax, but a 1,000-year amethyst rhino would be difficult. Of course, it was also because of the food. Did you succeed just like that? Wang Dong was a little curious. It seemed a little simple. Signing a soul contract isn't difficult. It's mainly in the nurturing stage. Hui Yuhao said with some experience. When Lil Silver was very young, we signed a soul contract. After signing a soul contract with us, I'll be able to improve a lot. In addition, Little Silver is easy to raise. I only need to feed it some leaves every day and let it out to cultivate and train with me. Yuhao pointed at the silver-patterned silkworm on his shoulder. This silver-patterned silkworm already had 600 to 700 years of cultivation. It was only a few months away from 1,000 years. At most, it would reach 10,000 years of cultivation in a few years. It was far from being comparable to Long Xie. However, Hui Yuhao nurtured it well and cherished it. Hence, its growth was gratifying. But this silver-patterned silkworm is 600 to 700 years old now. Hikaitu exclaimed. My teacher didn't allow me to say that. Hui Yuhao laughed. Little Silver had 20 years of cultivation back then. It's only been half a year, but it's already reached 600 to 700 years of cultivation. My first soul ring has also turned yellow, and my detection range has increased from less than 20 meters to 60 to 70 meters. Little Silver can spit out a lot of special silver threads. Once they wrap around an enemy, they can interfere with their minds. It's Little Silver's second soul skill. I call it spiritual entanglement. When they heard this, they were immediately shocked. Although Wang Feng had talked a lot about soul contractors on the way here, he hadn't introduced the use of life soul contracts in detail. Little Silver was only able to enter my soul ring to rest and recover after my soul ring became yellow at 100 years of cultivation. Big brother Hikaitu, you just have to sign a soul contract with this amethyst rhino, and it'll automatically enter your soul ring. However, you haven't reached rank 30 yet, so you don't need to absorb a soul ring. Maybe we can only raise it. Hui Yuhao glanced at the amethyst rhino. He wasn't envious. It had been a while since he became a soul contractor, and he only had the most suitable one for himself. The spirit element was different from other elements. He felt that his first soul beast was already good enough. He would consider other soul beasts for his second one. Attack, defense, or support type soul beasts were all fine. Can I sign a soul contract without absorbing a soul ring? Hikaitu asked doubtfully. Yes. Wang Feng said, soul beasts don't just provide soul rings. After signing a contract with a soul beast, you can absorb its soul ring at any time. You can also temporarily not absorb its soul ring, but if you don't absorb its soul ring, it'll be very difficult for you to sign a contract with another soul beast. In theory, soul masters can sign contracts with many soul beasts. However, you have to know that the price of signing a contract is the soul master's blood essence and spiritual power. If you don't become stronger, you won't be able to improve. If you recklessly sign too many soul contracts, your soul will weaken and your blood essence will dissipate. Everyone nodded. After dispersing the soul beasts around them, the group walked as they watched Hikaitu slowly harmonize with the amethyst rhino. Occasionally, they would even meet one or two evil soul beasts. Fortunately, the soul beasts here didn't have high cultivations. Even the evil soul beasts they met weren't strong. However, as they went deeper, Wang Feng realized that the number of infected evil soul beasts increased. Wang Feng wouldn't attack ordinary 1,000-year evil soul beasts. Instead, he would leave them to Ma Xiaodao or the other four. He would let them cooperate and kill them. Among them, the amethyst rhino's fighting strength was slowly revealed. Even if they didn't sign a soul contract, Hikaitu and the amethyst rhino slowly became familiar with each other. The rhino's powerful defensive abilities and sturdy body were able to greatly increase their strength. Afternoon came. The group experienced a few battles, but it wasn't difficult. Even if they met a 1,000-year evil soul beast, Ma Xiaotao was there. A day later, around dusk, Hikaitu finally began to sign a soul contract with the amethyst rhino. When the ancient soul contract oath resounded through the dusky scene, the mysterious and complex soul contract diagram that was filled with life seemed to present a brand new life to the world. Moo! A purple light enveloped the man and beast. Hikaitu's cigarette martial soul appeared and was filled with magnificence within this ball of purple light. In less than half an hour, the purple light dissipated. The amethyst rhino's eyes were bright, and it was filled with intelligence. Although it was still 600 or 700 years old, Wang Dong, Xiao Xiao, and Ma Xiaotao, who were watching from the sidelines, seemed to be able to feel the friendliness in its eyes. On the other side, Hikaitu's soul power undulated, and his entire body seemed to be covered in a layer of faint purple light. When he opened his eyes, his face was filled with surprise. Is this a soul contract? Hikaitu was both excited and shocked. I feel that my soul power absorption speed has increased, and my entire body has become stronger. A soul contract can increase my cultivation aptitude. Others didn't know, but he was clear that his aptitude was one of the best among soul masters. Wang Fengxin said, "How bad could a twin-souled soul master's aptitude be?" This was the reason why a soul contract was so strong. Even if one had innate full soul power, once one obtained the soul beast life energy, even an innate rank 10 soul power could increase by 1 rank. Although it was only 1 rank, one's cultivation speed would definitely increase tremendously. Unless one had an innate 0 soul power and an extremely low aptitude, it would be very difficult to sign a soul contract with a soul beast through a soul contract. Otherwise, even an innate rank 1 soul power could increase one's innate talent by signing a soul contract with a soul beast. Not to mention how strong one was. As long as one signed a soul contract with 2 or 3 soul beasts, one would be able to change one's innate talent, increase one's upper limit, and create endless possibilities. Increase one's aptitude. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao looked at each other. End of chapter. Chapter 1132. They were starting to understand how fearsome a soul contract master was. Even if they didn't believe it, they were witnessing it with their own eyes. Little Purple. Hikaitu looked at the amethyst rhinoceros. "Moo," the amethyst rhinoceros replied, then quietly crawled next to Hikaitu. Just this action alone was enough to show his current spiritual intelligence, which is an obvious improvement compared to before. "You haven't absorbed his soul ring yet," Wang Feng said. "After you absorb his soul ring, the connection between the two of you will deepen, and he'll have a new soul skill that belongs to him. During this period of time, besides cultivating, you'll also have to help him improve. More accurately, you'll have to help each other." Hikaitu nodded. A life soul contract is the core of a soul charter. Wang Feng looked at everyone and said, "Although it's not perfect, I've already explained it to all of you in detail. Perhaps you didn't believe it when you first came, so you were a little willful when choosing soul beasts. But now," Wang Feng didn't say anything else. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao nodded heavily and looked at Wang Feng with admiration. Ma Xiaotao opened her mouth as if she wanted to ask something, but stopped herself. "Hikaitu, did anything happen to your previous soul rings?" Wang Feng looked at Hikaitu. Hikaitu thought for a moment, then revealed his soul rings. They were standard 2 purples and 1 black soul ring. There weren't many changes. "That's good." Wang Feng nodded slightly. If there was a conflict between his life soul contract and his previous soul rings, it didn't seem to be the case. However, the amethyst rhinoceros stood up and took a few steps away. It seemed to mind Hikaitu's soul rings. "Ugh," Hikaitu said softly. "I forgot that my 3rd soul ring is a steelback rhinoceros." Everyone was enlightened. Wang Feng shook his head. There was still a conflict. The amethyst rhinoceros definitely had a grudge when it saw a soul beast of the same species turn into a soul ring. This was probably the only conflict. But Little Purple isn't angry. Hikaitu suddenly smiled and said, "Because he told me that he's hurt humans before. He said that when he agreed to sign a life soul contract with me, he knew the use of it. There's no conflict." Hearing this, Wang Feng also smiled. He hadn't thought of this. When a soul beast signed a life soul contract, it naturally knew the contents of the contract. Even if it didn't understand it, it would know that it was beneficial. Otherwise, it wouldn't have signed a life soul contract with Hikaitu. This kind of two-way soul contract would spread far and wide in the future. When humans chose soul beasts would also choose humans. "Thank you, teacher." Kami Hikaitu knelt down in front of Wang Feng and said sincerely, "I'm a soul engineer, but I've also become a soul contract master. Soul beasts are soul beasts. However, soul charters were facing soul beasts that possessed life. Soul weapons but now, I feel that soul charmers will truly become the mainstream of the continent in the future. This is a completely new cultivation method that surpasses soul engineers and traditional soul masters. Only after experiencing it personally would one understand the power of a soul contractor and comprehend the great life soul contract. While the amethyst rhinoceros was only 600 to 700 years old, it could become a 10,000-year soul beast in a year or two. When that happened, he Kaitu would be at rank 40. He wouldn't be too far behind those of his same level. When the amethyst rhinoceros became a 100,000-year soul beast, his fourth soul ring would be a 100,000-year soul beast. It would grow and improve step by step. Hikaitu could clearly sense the amethyst rhino's cultivation speed. After forming a life-soul contract, he could clearly sense it. Hikaitu could even sense that this amethyst rhino's spiritual power was extraordinary. Once it possessed intelligence, it would be able to carry a stationary soul tool. With the help of a stationary soul tool, it would be much more accurate under his control. Although it wasn't as accurate as spiritual detection, the improvement was very obvious. If he could find a spiritual-type soul beast in the future, it would become his soul-bonded beast. The problem of stationary soul tools would be perfectly solved. When that happened, not only would the amethyst rhinoceros's defense be astonishing, it would also be a mobile fortress. Hikaitu couldn't imagine what kind of power it would unleash. The others nodded. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao, in particular, were full of anticipation for the soul-bonded beast. "All right, let's rest early." Wang Feng waved his hand and said, "We have to continue looking for new soul beasts tomorrow morning." The group quickly took out their tents and put out the fire. The amethyst rhinoceros lay outside to guard and alert them. It was nighttime. Wang Feng lay quietly on a tree and looked at the sky. He was puzzled by the infected evil soul beasts during the day. According to Ma Xiaodao, there shouldn't be any more evil soul beasts in the purple maple soul beast forest. But why were there still so many infected soul beasts? The special dark energy didn't belong to the Douluo continent. There must be something special in the purple maple soul beast forest. At this moment, Wang Feng felt the Qilin Lord's egg in his soul tool jump a few times. Wang Feng vaguely thought of something. At this moment, a figure jumped up, bringing with it a faint fragrance. Even the dark night couldn't hide the fiery heat. "Xiao Tao." Wang Feng looked at her. "I know. I want to ask if you can suppress the evil fire produced by your martial soul if you form a life contract with an ice-type soul beast." Ma Xiaodao stood on the tree branch and blushed. She nodded. "Of course." Wang Feng nodded. "But it's still the same thing. Suppressing the fire will only treat the symptoms, not the root cause. The best way was to consume special treasures of heaven and earth, where you can find a strong ice-type soul beast and form a contract with it. Your martial soul might mutate, and the side effects will disappear. However, there aren't any ice-type soul beasts in the purple maple forest, let alone ice-type soul beasts. After this trip, I'll leave the Shrek Academy and go to the extreme north. Since you're my student, I'll naturally help you solve this problem." It wasn't difficult for him to find an ice-type soul beast. Coupled with the existence of a life contract, it was a good thing for both parties. "Leave?" Ma Xiaodao was stunned. "Don't you plan to stay in the Shrek Academy forever?" "Of course not." Wang Feng shook his head. "After these guys become soul chargers, they'll have enough to prove themselves to the Shrek Academy. When the time comes, I'll just have to announce the method of forming a life contract to the Academy. That'll be enough." "Oh." Ma Xiaodao was a little disappointed. She thought that he would continue to be a teacher and spread the word about soul chargers. Ma Xiaodao opened her mouth and wanted to say something. But at this moment, a scream came from afar. This voice was a little familiar. In an instant, Ma Xiaodao looked into the distance. Wang Feng also stood up and looked in the direction of the scream. "This voice, it's a student from the Shrek Academy. P.S. There are 2 or 3 more chapters tonight." Chapter 1133. Wang Feng could tell from a voice that it was coming from. "Senior." Ma Xiaotao glanced at Wang Feng with a serious and anxious look in her eyes. She had sensed that something was wrong with the purple maple soul beast forest today. How could the evil soul beasts that had been wiped out appear one after another and infect so many soul beasts? However, Ma Xiaodao wasn't worried with this senior around. In fact, they hadn't encountered any danger today, so Ma Xiaotao didn't plan on leaving early. However, she was still a little worried. The scream in the night was so terrifying, she was afraid. Wake them up and take a look, Wang Feng said decisively. Ma Xiaodao nodded and heaved a sigh of relief. She was afraid that he wouldn't care. Soon, the others woke up one after another. Evidently, they had been awakened by the scream. The amethyst rhinoceros that had been guarding everyone's tent had already gotten up and roared into the distance. What's going on? Xiao Xiao looked into the distance blankly. She had been sleeping like a log. Some of the academy's students must have been attacked. Hikaitu looked into the distance. The purple maple soul beast forest usually only has students from the Shrek Academy. Many outer courtyard students come here to train or obtain soul rings. You've just entered the academy, so you don't know much about the forest. Attacked? Xiao Xiao rubbed her eyes. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go help. Xiao Xiao, don't be anxious. What did teacher and sister Xiaodao say? Hui Yu Hao said in a low voice. It can't be a soul beast attacking us at this time of night. It's most likely an evil soul beast. Hui Yu Hao is right. Wang Dong nodded. If it's an evil soul beast, it'll be troublesome. Evil soul beasts are stronger at night than during the day. The fog is so thick that little Housy's spiritual detection is greatly weakened. If we go in rashly, we won't be able to save anyone. We'll be in danger if we rush in. Where's teacher and sister Xiaodao? Xiao Xiao looked around. Why are they gone? Don't tell me. They're together. Shut up. Ma Xiaodao flew over and hit Xiao Zhao's head with a chestnut. These little brats were still young, so what were they thinking about? I don't even dare to think about it. Ma Xiaodao glared at little Xiao. There are students from our academy up ahead who were attacked. I'm afraid we won't be able to sleep tonight. Let's go. Hui Yu Hao, you'll be in the center. Share your spiritual detection with me. Xiao Xiao, you'll be by Hui Yu Hao's side. Although your rank is low, you can still provide some assistance. Kaitu, you and Little Purple will bring up the rear. Wang Dong, you'll take the flanks. Come with me. Ma Xiaodao said. He arranged them in an orderly manner. Hui Yu Hao and the others were astonished. What's there to be surprised about? Senior sister Xiaodao participated in the Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament. Hikaitu smiled and said, even though she's not the captain, she's much more experienced than us. Let's learn from her. Ma Xiaodao was 20 years old this year and had participated in the Elite Soul Master Tournament a few years ago. The three of them suddenly understood. The Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament. That was an ancient competition that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years. Although the competition had changed a lot over the past 10,000 years, the most basic competition rules were still preserved. It was still the most prestigious competition in the entire continent. Those who could participate in this kind of competition were all elites. Sister Xiaodao, where is teacher? Hui Yu Hao asked. He went ahead to take a look first. Ma Xiaodao pointed to the front. He asked me to look after all of you, in case anything happens. Keep up with my speed, and don't fall behind too much. It's a little strange tonight. The few of them nodded hurriedly, and quickly rushed towards the source of the sound. Wang Feng took the lead and rushed over to take a look. With his spiritual senses, he could clearly sense the auras of a few powerful evil beasts. The moon was still very bright tonight, and it wasn't dark or gloomy. However, it still couldn't get rid of the fog in the forest. Wang Feng's figure shuttled through the forest like a streak of silver flowing light. Very soon, Wang Feng approached the source of the sound. His pupils shrank slightly. In front of him, an evil soul beast with a strong aura was ferociously looking at several students who were wearing Shrek Academy's outer courtyard uniform. On the ground, there were several students' corpses lying in a mess. Even the people who were surrounded were covered in wounds, and they were barely breathing. It was an extremely huge, evil soul beast. It had a cultivation of about 2,000 years, and its entire body was covered in blackish-purple fur. It was standing, and it looked like a bear. There were sharp fangs in its mouth that resembled swords. It only had one claw, which was very rare. However, it was extremely sharp. It was like a sharp sword. It was an extremely powerful black demon saber-toothed bear. This evil soul beast had mutated from a saber-toothed bear and it was very powerful. It had a cultivation of 2,000 years and was even stronger than a 20,000-year soul beast. There should be a few more evil soul beasts, but there's only one now. Wang Feng's eyes flashed. He could tell from the marks on the ground that there was more than one. Long Xia, get rid of this black demon saber-tooth bear. Wang Feng's soul rings flashed. Long Xia's enormous figure flew out and uttered a deafening roar. Even in the darkness, Long Xia's purple wings were extremely dazzling. These evil soul beasts were different from the partially infected soul beasts. There was still a chance to save them. They had completely lost their consciousness and souls. There was only pure killing. Their instinct to kill drove them. The black demon saber-tooth bear immediately noticed Long Xia's appearance. Die, you little bear. The patterns on Long Xia's wings suddenly lit up. He waved his wings, and two bolts of lightning as thick as buckets struck down from the sky. At the same time, Long Xia clenched his fists. One of his fists flashed with yellow light, while the other flashed with purple lightning. He charged towards the black demon saber-tooth bear. Roar! Although the saber-tooth bear had lost its consciousness, it still retained its powerful fighting instincts. When it saw the two bolts of lightning, it didn't hesitate to leap into the air. It was 5 or 6 meters tall, but it wasn't clumsy at all. It leapt backwards and slashed at one of the bolts of lightning with its 2-meter-long sword claws. The bright silver sword claws didn't match its black body, but they were extremely powerful. One of the bolts of lightning was split apart. The other one struck nothing but air. The power of lightning was the nemesis of these evil soul beasts. However, these evil soul beasts were very powerful. Long Xia couldn't kill this 2,000-year black demon saber-tooth bear with one strike. Crazed demon fist. But then, Long Xia's enormous body pounced on him. He didn't use the two bolts of lightning to defeat his opponent. They were just a cover. He slammed his palms towards the saber-tooth bear. Chapter 1134. Crackle. Boom. 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 A barrage of attacks landed on the saber-toothed bear. One of Long Xia's hands was covered in yellow dragon scales, and there was a layer of yellow light around it. His other hand contained the power of lightning. As his wings flashed, Long Xia looked like a two-color dragon. However, the destructive power of this hand was extremely strong. One of his hands was used for defense, while the other was used for offense. This was the evolved version of Long Xia's soul skill, the extreme rock crazed demon fist. The saber-toothed tiger was instantly beaten up by Long Xia's ferocious attack. Its claws were broken. Its body exploded. After a short while, it collapsed to the ground. Wang Feng quickly walked over and pressed his palm against the saber-toothed tiger's body. He absorbed the special energy in its body. At the same time, a streak of pure energy entered Long Xia's body. Boss, I like the feeling of being crushed. Long Xia roared into the sky. It feels so good to fight to my heart's content. What's so good about it? It's just a 2,000-year evil soul beast. Wang Feng snapped. You could have killed it with your third soul skill. Why are you wasting time? Boss, you don't understand. Killing it in an instant isn't as fun as punching it. Long Xia shook his head. Wang Feng couldn't be bothered with him. Instead, he looked at the students. Senior, is it you? The students seemed to recognize Wang Feng. They must have seen him in the soul dueling area. Are you guys all right? Wang Feng nodded slightly. He looked at them and asked, Are there other evil soul beasts? Killing evil soul beasts could help Long Xia increase his cultivation. These evil soul beasts couldn't produce soul rings. They were modified by the special dark energy. As long as Wang Feng used his purple origin patterns to absorb the dark energy, Long Xia would be able to absorb a portion of the pure energy. We're fine. One of the girls stepped forward and said, Senior, Sister Nan helped us lure the other two evil soul beasts away. Can you go and save Sister Nan? She went in that direction. The girl pointed into the distance. Her face was pale. I can sense the aura of evil soul beasts in that direction. Long Xia said, Boss, I think you've guessed it, right? There might even be 10,000-year evil soul beasts 10,000-year evil soul beasts were usually comparable to normal 100,000-year soul beasts. According to what Ma Shouthouse said, that academy cleared this forest of evil soul beasts. It's impossible for such a powerful evil soul beast to appear. Even if they did, the Shrek Academy should have discovered them after so long. Unless Wang Feng's eyes flickered as he looked at the few of them and said indifferently, "You guys wait here. I have a few students who will rush over to pick you up in a moment. Be careful." With that, Wang Feng sped off in that direction. Is it similar to the evil soul beast's egg that Lin Lord Ice Empress took? Wang Feng's eyes flashed. The evil soul beast had invaded the entire continent and almost all of the soul beast forests. Although it was forced to retreat by the combined efforts of the humans and soul beasts, it didn't disappear. Instead, it became restless. Wang Feng had thought of this possibility ever since he obtained the evil soul beast's egg from the Skydream iceworm in the Great Stardow Forest. When the evil soul beast was forced to retreat, it was very likely that it hid its egg among many other soul beast eggs. It used the life of the soul beast to breed it, and it eventually wreaked havoc in the entire soul beast forest. The Skydream iceworm fell for it, and was almost crippled by that egg. If there were such eggs in other soul beast forests, it was only a matter of time before they exploded. It was difficult to guard against. It was an extremely evil and vicious plan. This was why Wang Feng felt that it was a little familiar, and he was also puzzled by the changes in the purple maple soul beast forest. If that's the case, I'm afraid the entire continent's soul beast forest is in trouble. Wang Feng pondered. There must be other eggs in the Great Stardow Forest besides the Skydream iceworm's egg. TSK, TSK, TSK. These invaders are really vicious. Long Xie sneered. They're using this method to make a comeback. They're even trying to destroy the ecosystem from the inside. No wonder there are so many infected evil soul beasts in the purple maple soul beast forest. Let's find the evil soul beast that hatched in the purple maple soul beast forest first. Wang Feng frowned. This thing. It should be the source of the evil soul beasts in the purple maple soul beast forest. Although all of these were just guesses, Wang Feng hoped that they were wrong. If they were true, it would be very troublesome. It wasn't just for soul beasts. It was also very troublesome for humans. It might even cause the extinction of the soul contract master profession. Boss, I can sense those two evil soul beasts, Long Xie suddenly said at this moment. Jiang Nan sprinted through the forest. She was very glad that her martial soul was the soft-bone rabbit, which allowed her to traverse through the forest quickly. She was able to dodge the attacks of the two evil soul beasts behind her. Black Demon, Saber-Toothed Tiger. Fortunately, speed wasn't its strong suit. There were a total of 3 of them. She had lured 2 of them away. As for the remaining one, it would depend on the student's abilities whether they could escape or not. They're at least 2 or 3,000 years old. If it were any other soul beast, I'd be dead by now. Jiang Nan estimated the amount of soul power in her body. She hadn't thought that she'd been in the purple maple soul beast forest for a few days. She'd already sent students back to report when she realized something was wrong. She didn't think that there would be such powerful soul beasts in the purple maple soul beast forest. They weren't the first group of people to be killed. More accurately, they were the second group. The first batch was already dead. That scream was discovered by her and the other 2 students when they saw the bodies of the first batch of dead students. But it's strange. There's something wrong with these 2 soul beasts. Jiang Nan continued to run forward. She had a feeling that something was wrong. These 2 soul beasts were following her at a leisurely pace. It was too strange, but she didn't have time to think about it. She could only run as fast as she could. There wasn't much hope in running away. One had to know that there was a teacher in the first batch of students who had been killed, and even he couldn't defeat these 3 evil soul beasts. But if she didn't run, she would still die. The soul power in her body was quickly depleted. Not long after, Jiang Nan felt weak all over. She was in a daze. Jiang Nan bit the tip of her tongue and mustered all the strength in her body, as well as her remaining soul power, to continue running forward. She didn't know how long she had been running. but the two soul beasts behind her seemed to have disappeared. She secretly rejoiced. Jiang Nan swayed as she walked, and the scenery around her changed slightly. There was a lake in front of her. Suddenly, Jiang Nan saw a figure standing by the lake with his back to her. It was familiar. The next moment, her eyes widened abruptly because the figure had turned around. Jiang Nan was surprised. "Senior? It's you?" P.S. 7 chapters. Chapter 1135. The man by the lake was extremely handsome. Jiang Nan did not expect this mysterious senior to appear here. She was very nervous at this moment, but she was very surprised. It was like a dream. She was like a drowning person who had grabbed onto a straw. This straw was strong and thick. And familiar. "It's me." The man smiled and said gently, "Are you okay?" Jiang Nan ran 2 steps and panted as she looked at the man in front of her. She finally relaxed. This senior was very strong, but the 2 evil soul beasts behind him were also very strong. But why was he here? This thought flashed through Jiang Nan's mind, but she did not think too much about it. He must have been in the soul beast forest and was attracted by the battle and the aura of the evil soul beasts, so he rushed over. "I'm fine." Jiang Nan wiped the sweat off her forehead and said hurriedly, "Senior, there are still 2 powerful evil soul beasts behind me. Be careful." She only had a few scratches on her body, and it was not a big deal. "That's good." The man pointed behind him. "Don't worry. I've already taken care of them before I came. Didn't you notice that the 2 soul beasts behind us are no longer following us?" Jiang Nan was stunned when she heard this. No wonder she cannot sense them. This senior had already taken care of them. He's so powerful. Jiang Nan looked at the man in front of her with admiration. She felt more at ease. "Let's go. I'll bring you out of here. It'll be difficult to leave if we're late." The man waved his hand at Jiang Nan. "Those 2 evil soul beasts aren't the strongest. It's very likely that there's one of the strongest evil soul beasts nearby." Jiang Nan nodded and walked towards the man. She was a little nervous. She was not afraid, but she was worried. She was worried about the powerful evil soul beast that this senior was talking about. Halfway through, Jiang Nan heard a strange roar in her ears. Jiang Nan subconsciously stopped in her tracks and turned around, only to find a humanoid monster nearly 3 meters tall behind her. Its body was red, and its eyes were purple. 14 fangs grew from its back. It exuded a powerful aura. The aura of an evil soul beast. Jiang Nan's pupils shrank. Jiang Nan stopped in her tracks, and her heart skipped a beat. This evil soul beast is so strong. The other party's aura was too strong. The next moment, before Jiang Nan could do anything, the humanoid evil soul beast had already charged toward the senior. The senior's expression changed as he charged toward the humanoid evil soul beast. It seems that this humanoid evil soul beast sensed that senior is the strongest. "I want to get rid of you as soon as possible." Jiang Nan bit her lip. "I'm too weak right now. My soul power is empty, so I can't help you at all. Recklessly interfering will only have the opposite effect. I need to find an opportunity." Jiang Nan calmed down and decided to observe the battle first. Rumble. At this moment, the senior and the humanoid evil soul beast clashed violently, something that Jiang Nan did not expect happened. The senior's expression changed drastically as a crimson light flashed through his eyes, and he was sent flying by the humanoid evil soul beast. In his sight, the humanoid evil soul beast was extremely fast, and just a single punch was enough to send Senior Han flying for over 100 meters. He floated on the surface of a lake, creating ripples on the surface. However, Senior Han managed to react in the end and balance himself in midair. He tapped the surface of the lake lightly, and a dazzling black light burst out from his body as he let out a loud roar. Jiang Nan could vaguely see countless meridians appearing all over Senior Han's body, and his aura was like a pillar that shot into the sky. Senior Han will definitely win. Jiang Nanan took out a dagger and looked at Senior Han, who was charging toward the humanoid evil soul beast again. She was a little worried. This humanoid evil soul beast was not ordinary. It was definitely stronger than the two black demon saber-tooth bears, and it was most likely the strongest evil soul beast in this soul beast forest, and it was born recently. But Senior Han is also very strong. But why didn't he use his martial soul and that soul-bonded beast? Jiang Nanan was a little confused. However, Jiang Nanan did not think too much about it as Senior Han was still charging toward the humanoid evil soul beast. Perhaps Senior Han had other powerful means? However, in the next moment, Jiang Nanan was stunned by what she saw. The senior who had just charged over was sent flying by the humanoid evil soul beast with a single punch. This time, the humanoid evil soul beast seemed to be much stronger than before, and there were even many cracks on Senior Han's body. Senior! Jiang Nanan screamed and rushed in the direction where Senior Han was sent flying. She wanted to use this opportunity to get back down. However, Senior Han was too fast, and the humanoid evil soul beast did not seem to want to let him go. After sending Senior Han flying with a punch, it moved in a flash and kicked Senior Han. Boom! Senior Han was kicked down from midair by the humanoid evil soul beast. Senior Han landed on the ground, and spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the ground within a radius of dozens of meters. It was a terrifying sight. It was too terrifying. Jiang Nanan was still in a daze. So strong. Jiang Nanan was extremely shocked as she rushed toward where Senior Han had landed. How strong is this humanoid evil soul beast? Even Senior Han was unable to fight back. Is he an evil soul beast close to 100,000 years old? Jiang Nanan was shocked and desperate at the same time. However, she knew that she could not run away now. Soon. Jiang Nanan looked at Senior Han, who was more than 10 meters away, who was completely embedded in the ground. She gritted her teeth and rushed over with her martial soul possession. At this moment, the humanoid evil soul beast in midair landed on the ground. A fatal punch fell from the sky, bringing with it the sound of endless air currents, and was about to land on the senior's body. At this moment, Jiang Nanan threw herself at the center of the spiderweb-like cracks in front of Senior Han. In an instant, Jiang Nanan closed her eyes. Ha ha! After a long time, Jiang Nanan thought that she was going to die, but she realized that nothing had happened. She opened her eyes and saw a huge fist, but did not land on her. Jiang Nanan was stunned. Why is this evil soul beast not attacking me? That inexplicable laughter came from behind her. At this moment, the humanoid evil soul beast suddenly pulled her back. Kill him. The laughter came from Senior Han. Jiang Nanan tensed up when she was pulled over by the humanoid evil soul beast. She heard Senior Han's voice again. Jiang Nanan was shocked. She turned her wrist, and a dagger appeared in her hand. Without thinking, she stabbed the dagger at the humanoid evil soul beast who was getting closer and closer to her. But vaguely, he felt that something was wrong. End of chapter. Chapter 1136. Roar. Roar. The humanoid evil soul beast let out a series of roars. However, he did not pay attention to Jiang Nanan's attack. Instead, he threw a punch at the senior behind her. Senior! Jiang Nanan screamed and moved her dagger faster. At this moment, all of a sudden, the humanoid evil soul beast uttered an ancient syllable. Jiang Nanan's body shook. She was rooted to the spot as if she had been immobilized. Her mind was buzzing. Her tense mind started to relax. The scene in front of her seemed to be changing. You've been bewitched by this evil soul beast. At some point in time, a familiar voice sounded in his ears. The humanoid evil soul beast started to change and turned into a handsome man. Senior? Jiang Nanan was stunned. She suddenly understood something and turned to look in the distance. She realized that the senior had turned into a humanoid evil soul beast. In that instant, Jiang Nanan's mind went blank and exploded with a bang. Little girl, don't be in a daze. Wang Feng was speechless as he looked at this little girl. When he caught up with Jiang Nanan by following her aura, he found her a little strange. Not only did this little girl think that he was an evil soul beast, but she also ran to the side of the evil soul beast. She even stood in front of the evil soul beast. Wang Feng immediately knew that this little girl might have been hit by some spiritual type soul skill of the evil soul beast, which caused her mind to change. What a powerful human. After that delay, the evil soul beast jumped out from the ground and retreated to one side. It laughed sinisterly. Wang Feng frowned as he looked at this evil soul beast. A real 10,000-year evil soul beast was very strong. It could survive a few punches from him. Even a normal titled Douluo might not be able to do that. Furthermore, this evil soul beast was very special. It's a pity for this little girl. The humanoid evil soul beast glanced at Jiang Nanan with greed in its eyes. What a delicious life form. She almost fell into my mouth. Wang Feng looked at Jiang Nanan. Say, Senior. Jiang Nanan blankly looked at Wang Feng. She seemed to have realized something and couldn't help but feel guilty. Senior, Wang Feng waved his hand and said, you were hit by a spiritual type soul skill, and you were already very tense when you were running away. This evil soul beast is very strong, so it's not your fault. As soon as he sensed it, he immediately used one of the 8 notes of chaos, the Ming word, to restore Jiang Nanan's mind to its original state. However, Jiang Nanan still blamed herself. She thought about how she had almost attacked the senior. She was even bewitched by this evil soul beast. She felt both angry and guilty. Boss, this evil soul beast is indeed extraordinary. At this moment, a huge figure flew over from the sky and spoke in human language. His aura is a little strange. He's definitely not just an evil soul beast. Dog, where did you come from? Long Xie roared furiously at the humanoid soul beast. The humanoid evil soul beast chuckled. His smile was very strange, like a crow and a sparrow crying together. It was also a little scary. A bunch of ants from a low-level world. The humanoid evil soul beast sneered. You want to know where I came from? You can tell me after you kill me. Long Xie was furious when he heard this. Who else would dare to show off in front of him other than his boss? This was intolerable. Long Xie's wings flapped, and streaks of purple lightning struck the humanoid evil soul beast from his wings. The humanoid evil soul beast, who called himself Mo-in, sneered. His skin shone with a strange light, and the 2 streaks of purple lightning were absorbed when they landed on his body. The power of lightning is strong, but you're just a low-level creature. Do you think you can hurt me? Mo-in roared. The purple lightning that was absorbed turned into endless light, and it almost turned black. Take my demonic lightning. He stretched out his hand, and the purple lightning that was absorbed turned black. In the next moment, he struck at Long Xie, who was in midair. However, a figure flashed past at this moment. Before Mo-in could release the black lightning, he was sent flying. He even spat out a mouthful of smelly black blood. It's Wang Feng. Of course, he wouldn't just stand by and watch. Waving his hand, Wang Feng stared at Mo-in in front of him with a grave expression. Ever since the 5th War of the Soul Beasts, the world had changed slightly. These special evil soul beasts had extraordinary power. Boss, ordinary evil soul beasts are afraid of the power of lightning. This evil soul beast not only has the intelligence of a human, but it's also not afraid of lightning. Long Xie was surprised. This evil soul beast must be one of those special evil soul beasts that hatch from eggs, right? Wang Feng nodded. This evil soul beast was clearly not ordinary. Although it was called an evil soul beast, it should be a highly intelligent creature. It could be another species. It's really tough. Long Xie looked at the evil soul beast that had been punched by his boss. Its body was deformed, but it seemed to have a strong recovery ability. It didn't lose its ability to fight. This fellow is Mo-in's fellow. He's as strong as a titled Dalu. Wang Feng muttered. Furthermore, his life force is very strong. Ordinary attacks can't hurt him. Those evil soul beasts that hatch from eggs have this level of strength. They can even infect other soul beasts. They're very strong. This doesn't seem like something that can appear on the continent. It's similar to the evil soul masters of the past, but it's even stronger. Wang Feng suddenly remembered that the God realm had lost contact with the Douluo continent. Either something had happened in the God realm, or a realm comparable to the God realm had acted to cut off the connection between the continent and the God realm. They were targeting the God realm. Ha ha ha. Human, your soul power is very low, but you can unleash the strongest power in this world. That's incredible. Mo-in staggered to his feet again. There was a relaxed smile on his face. However, it's not that easy to defeat me with this strength. Wang Feng laughed coldly. Mo-in seemed arrogant, but he didn't reveal anything about his background. He was very mysterious. Even a name could be fake. However, he called the Douluo continent a low-level world. It wasn't hard to tell that Mo-in came from another world. However, he didn't say anything about where he came from. Is that so? Wang Feng looked at him. Chapter 1137. His opponent wasn't very strong. However, his body was special, and he was able to withstand strength that far exceeded his own. In the face of thunder and lightning that could destroy evil and devils, its resistance was also very strong. Little girl, get on my soul-bonded beast back first. Wang Feng glanced at Jiang Nanan. Okay. Jiang Nanan answered immediately. Wang Feng came to Jiang Nanan's side, lifted her by the shoulder, and threw her toward Long Xie. Jiang Nanan balanced herself in the air and landed on Long Xie's back. She supported Long Xie's back and looked down with a pale face. Senior's soul-bonded beast seemed to have changed again. From the general shape, it could be seen that it was a crag dragon, but it was an earth-shattering change. It was unbelievable. Senior, can you defeat that evil soul beast? Jiang Nanan muttered. You little girl, how dare you doubt your boss? Speaking of which, this evil soul beast is indeed very troublesome. Long Xie flew in the air and planned to support Wang Feng. He wasn't strong enough to deal with the evil soul beast yet. He could only watch from the sidelines. Long Xie couldn't help but think of the strange phenomenon that his boss had caused. Below, Wang Feng looked at Mo-in and moved his hand. Long Xie, use your lightning to strike me. Long Xie was stunned. He didn't know what his boss meant. However, he still did as he was told. The purple wings shot out 2 bolts of lightning that landed on Wang Feng. He wasn't worried that his boss would be hurt by the lightning. The purple lightning landed on Wang Feng's body. In an instant, Wang Feng seemed to be covered in a layer of faint purple light. He looked very powerful. Boss, what are you doing? Long Xie asked loudly. Nothing. Let's decorate it first. Wang Feng said. Long Xie was speechless. In the next moment, one of the purple patterns on Wang Feng's body lit up. The first purple origin power was activated. This was the first time Wang Feng had used the purple origin power that he had fused with for so long. After the fusion, he hadn't been able to use these 7 purple origin patterns because he hadn't added a soul ring to them. It represented the supreme power of the origin tribulation God King. Now he could finally use it. It was as if a purple electric arc was running all over Wang Feng's body. Finally, they gathered above Wang Feng's head, forming a mysterious golden lightning pattern. In the center of the pattern, there was a strange, sharp blade. It looked like a sword, but it wasn't a sword. It also looked like a saber. Layers upon layers of purple light rose from Wang Feng's body, forming a soaring flame aura. The pitch-black night sky seemed to have been awakened by the light on Wang Feng's body. Mo Yin's pupils constricted as he stared at the mysterious human with his pitch-black eyes. He actually felt a sense of fear from the other party. Wang Feng opened his eyes. The 14 pairs of black and gold light wings on his back suddenly grew longer, as if they had become the background. His eyes were cold and emotionless, as if he represented the creator of the supreme laws, and he had the right to judge all living beings. At this moment, Wang Feng really seemed like a god. At the very least, in Long Xie's eyes, Wang Feng's aura alone was comparable to the God King he and Qilin Lord Bing Mu had faced during the Battle of the Gods. The first purple origin represented judgment and judgment. After activating it, Wang Feng's body absorbed the origin power of the purple origin runes. He had entered a state of true God. Every time he raised his hand or raised his foot, he would possess great power. The power of heaven and earth seemed to be under Wang Feng's control. This feeling was wonderful. Wang Feng closed his eyes. It might be even stronger than the first form of the chaotic green lotus. However, this was not a soul skill. It was the origin power of the origin tribulation God King. Even though it was not complete now, Wang Feng's soul power was not enough to sustain it for a long time. However, it was powerful enough. In the next moment, Wang Feng disappeared from the spot. Space seemed to have fallen into an exquisite state. Before Mo-in could react, Wang Feng appeared in front of him as if he had teleported. The rotating qi exploded in midair. It was an explosion caused by the extreme speed of the qi. Boom! Wang Feng's fist landed on Mo-in's body again. The purple light on his body spread, and every strike contained great power. A hole appeared in Mo-in's body, which wasn't considered huge. Pure strength had broken through Mo-in's body. His squirming body looked exceptionally frightening. Puffed. Mo-in spat out blood, but he did not have time to think. Wang Feng turned into a purple blur as he interweaved with lightning arcs in the air. Punch after punch landed on Mo-in's body in a simple and straightforward manner. In just a few blinks of the eye, Mo-in was full of holes. Even half of his head was smashed. However, Mo-in's immense life force was perfectly displayed at this moment. Even at this level, he was still not dead. Wang Feng realized that Mo-in's body seemed to be evolving as his endurance increased. Obviously, this was the special characteristic of his body. Boom! Another punch. Mo-in seemed to have turned into a human stick. There was not a single part of his body that was intact. Ha! However, he still let out a few loud laughs. He only laughed, but did not say anything. It was like a proud laugh, a mocking laugh. Wang Feng was expressionless. After activating the first blood pattern, his strength had increased tremendously. If Mo-in was a normal evil soul beast, he would have died countless times. However, his terrifying life force prevented him from dying. He could still laugh at this moment. Vaguely, Wang Feng understood what was going on. In the next moment, Wang Feng raised his hand towards the night sky. Judgment, heavenly, tribulation. Wang Feng suddenly retracted his hand as if he was summoning something. Crackle. The pitch-black night sky was originally quiet, but at this moment, a vortex of dark clouds suddenly appeared. A golden and brilliant ray of light struck down from the swirl of dark clouds. It was a golden lightning bolt. As if it was going to break open the world, the thick golden lightning bolt followed Wang Feng's guidance and struck down towards Mo-in. This was the real heavenly tribulation, the judgment heavenly tribulation. It was the ancestor of all lightning and represented the most powerful force in this world. It represented the power of the heavens. It judged and destroyed any living being that violated the rules of the heavens. Long Xie was very familiar with this because this was the real heavenly tribulation. F*CK. Boss's martial soul is too powerful. Long Xie muttered. It can even control the heavenly tribulation. Furthermore, this was not an ordinary heavenly tribulation. This terrifying purple judgment heavenly tribulation carried a powerful force that made Long Xie feel like he could not resist it. Mo-in's smile stopped in the golden judgment heavenly tribulation. He was probably frozen. Then, he let out a blood-curdling scream. Chapter 1138. He could not imagine how a human could possess such a terrifying power that surpassed the laws. This golden divine lightning of judgment contained a tremendous power that could annihilate everything. Mo-in's body began to turn into ashes. You are not a human of this world. Mo-in's body was badly damaged, and he was no longer able to look at Wang Feng. However, his mental energy was still able to sense that the miserable shrieks were mixed with extreme shock and terror. This is definitely not the power of this lowly world. However, amidst a few voices, and Mo-in laughed maniacally again. Finally, the voice disappeared in the endless ashes. Wang Feng did not give him any chance to attack. After activating the first purple origin rune, Wang Feng felt that his emotions had been annihilated. There were only endless laws in his sea of consciousness. Any living being that dared to go against him, and the laws would be destroyed. It was a little scary. This was a special true God state. Therefore, Mo-in did not even have a chance to attack. These 7 origin powers are indeed very strong. Once all of them are activated, I will directly become the Origin Tribulation Divine King. Wang Fengxin pondered. This was a different path from his chaotic green lotus. He could directly become a true god. It was simpler for him as long as he kept increasing his soul power and obtaining soul rings. There was also no limit of rank 100, because it was the origin power of a true god king. Even if Wang Feng's soul power was not high enough and he could not fully unleash it, he could still see how powerful it was. This state was indeed very special. I wonder what the next purple origin represents. Wang Feng whispered. I did not fully unleash the power of the judgment of judgment, and this evil soul beast died. He was not afraid of Long Xie's lightning. However, this divine lightning of judgment is a natural counter to it. No. Wang Feng suddenly sensed the place where Mo-in had turned into ashes. He walked over and sensed for a moment before saying, this guy is not dead yet, his soul and body are in a special state. Mo-in's last laugh was very strange. He had turned into ashes, but he was still laughing. Who the F***ck would laugh after dying? Wang Feng could not feel the dissipating soul power. There was also a special dark energy that did not appear on this evil soul beast. Boss, that's it? Long Xie flew down and looked at the dark cloud vortex in the night sky with fear. That was divine lightning that was even more terrifying than heavenly tribulation. If it had landed on him, his soul would have been destroyed. However, Long Xie could sense that Wang Feng had expended a lot of energy. Not yet. He hasn't truly died. Wang Feng shook his head. Normally, after an evil soul beast dies, such as the black demon dragon teeth bear, it will release a special dark energy that I can absorb and purify. However, this evil soul beast didn't release this special dark energy after it was reduced to ashes. This means that his soul hasn't disappeared. This might be a special creature whose body and soul can be separated and controlled in battle. Wang Feng's face darkened. This humanoid, evil soul beast wasn't very powerful, but it was more troublesome than Wang Feng had imagined. Then where is his soul? Long Xie took a deep breath. I don't know. Wang Feng's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. My guess is that you're not the only one. Many of the soul beasts in the forest have been infected. It's very likely that this evil soul beast soul is located there. Infecting soul beasts and turning them into evil soul beasts is the easiest thing to do because the soul beasts in this forest aren't very old. So, can we find a soul beast soul if we find where it's infected? Long Xie hesitated. Boss, this evil soul beast isn't simple. It wasn't just simple. Wang Fengxin said. They had encountered so many evil soul beasts. However, it was the first time they had encountered an evil soul beast with such high intelligence and special characteristics. It was born from the eggs of the evil soul beasts. This evil soul beast had the ability to turn a forest into an evil soul beast forest. Jiang Nan was a little breathless. She still hadn't recovered from the battle just now. Wang Feng had already closed the first purple origin rune and the angel of light and dark. What happened just now was like a dream, making Jiang Nan feel that it was somewhat unreal. What kind of power was that? It was too scary, wasn't it? Say, Senior, why don't we go back to the academy first and form a team to come here? Jiang Nan suggested softly. She didn't know what kind of power this mysterious senior had used to kill the evil soul beast. However, Jiang Nan understood that the evil soul beast wasn't dead yet. That was too exaggerated. How could it still be alive? Wang Feng shook his head. No, now is the best time to kill that evil soul beast. Its physical body is destroyed, and its soul is the best time to perish. Evil soul beasts like this are extraordinary. Once they recover, they can use the bodies of other evil soul beasts to come back to life. How could they go back now? Boss, can you sense its path? Long Xia asked. Wang Feng shook his head. He was still exhausted. He wouldn't be able to sense it for a while. Then we can only look for it. Long Xia flew into the sky. This soul beast forest isn't big. It shouldn't be difficult to find it in a few days. Wang Feng jumped on a Long Xia's back and said with a frown, I'm afraid it'll escape in a few days. Not long after they flew into the sky, a golden figure suddenly slammed into Long Xia. Damn, it's another little thing. Long Xia was stunned. That's a golden cat eagle. Why is it crashing into me again? Could it be that this place is also his territory? That golden figure was the same golden cat eagle from before. Tat, tat, tat. The golden cat eagle kept crashing into Long Xia. It seems to be doing it on purpose. Jiang Nanan was curious. How could this golden cat eagle, which was so weak compared to the rock dragon, be so brave? However, she noticed that after each collision, the golden-head cathawk would snort a few times in the distance. It must be taking us somewhere. Wang Feng suddenly said, Little thing, are you going to take us somewhere? If so, lead the way. The golden cat eagle screeched at Wang Feng and then flew in a direction. That's right. Girl, hold on tight. Long Xia, follow it. Wang Feng shouted softly. No problem. Long Xia was moved. He flapped his wings and sped up. Before Jiang Nanan could react, she felt a wave of dizziness hit her. Her body involuntarily fell towards Wang Feng, who was beside her. P.S. Today's update. Chapter 1139. With Jiang Nanan's current state, it was difficult for her to maintain her balance in such a sudden acceleration. When she bumped into Wang Feng, she was stunned, and her face immediately turned red. Fortunately, she only bumped into Wang Feng's shoulder and not his chest. So comfortable, this smell, Jiang Nanan vaguely felt an incomparably pure aura from the other party. Cough, cough, hold on tight. Wang Feng held Jiang Nanan's shoulder and said, That bastard Long Xia must have done it on purpose. Oh. Jiang Nanan came back to her senses and looked at Wang Feng embarrassedly. Then, she held on to the stone pillar beside her. The golden cat eagle in front of them was still flying quickly, as if it wanted to bring them to a place. I heard that Senior has taken in a few students in the academy. Did you come to this place because you wanted to bring your students out for training? After a moment of silence, Jiang Nanan couldn't help but ask curiously. Yes, to help them find a soul-bonding beast. Wang Feng nodded. Don't call me Senior. I'm still very young. Soul-bonding beast. Jiang Nanan blinked. Then I'll call you Senior Teacher. You're also a teacher in the academy now. Teacher Wang? You can call me Teacher Feng. Wang Feng thought for a moment. There are too many Teacher Wangs in the academy. Jiang Nanan laughed softly. The surname Wang was a popular surname. Teacher Feng, what was that evil soul beast just now? Jiang Nanan clearly still had a lot of questions about what happened just now. Wang Feng pondered for a moment. This matter couldn't be explained to Jiang Nanan in a short time. Perhaps the Federation would have some understanding of this situation. To be precise, it wasn't completely an evil soul beast. Wang Feng explained a little. This little girl was very nervous now. She probably hadn't recovered yet. So, she wanted to talk and ask some questions to ease the tension and doubts in her heart. But the evil soul beast was infected by him. Wang Feng glanced at Jiang Nanan. The latter was looking at him with her big eyes like a curious baby. You can understand them as a kind of creature similar to us humans. Wang Feng continued. They were born in such a place and were not discovered because they had not fully hatched. During the Fifth Soul Beast War, the evil soul beasts left their eggs in this soul beast forest and used the world's origin energy or other soul beasts to slowly nurture them. It was only recently born. However, these are all my conjectures and may not be accurate. Jiang Nanan nodded as if she understood. Isn't that an evil soul beast? Is that monster still alive? Jiang Nanan continued to ask. She had clearly seen the previous battle. Such a terrifying divine lightning had descended from the sky with great momentum, but it had not been able to destroy the latter. Some of them died. His soul hasn't dissipated yet. Wang Feng stared into the distance. His soul should be the source of all the evil soul beasts in this forest. No more evil soul beasts will appear in this forest after we kill him. Jiang Nana nodded and understood. Screech! At this moment, the golden-head owl in front suddenly let out a cry. Then he swooped down from the sky. Boss, we're here. Long Xie swooped down after him. I sensed it. Wang Feng nodded slightly and looked into the distance. He was a little curious. There was a basin in the forest in front of them. It was more than 10 meters lower and filled with all kinds of plants that exuded special dark energy. It was as if it had been switched to another world. The purple maple trees had completely changed. They had become pitch black and had scorched black leaves. All kinds of unknown and mysterious plants covered the area in front of them. They intersected with each other and covered the ground like a carpet. There was a dark aura and atmosphere. This place is... Jiang Nan looked at the place in front of her in shock before she landed. She could clearly feel that there was a world of difference between this area and the outside world. Boss, this special energy is very dense. Long Xie landed on a high platform and looked down at the situation below. There was indeed this special dark energy that was unique to the evil soul beasts. This place is so scary, Jiang Nan whispered. The scene in front of her didn't match her understanding of the forest. In addition, it was covered by all these black plants and looked very evil. She instinctively felt a little scared. The golden-head owl flew in front of Long Xie and bumped into him. Then, it flew to Wang Feng's shoulder and screeched a few times. After that, it flew into the sky. However, it didn't step into the basin in front of them. Instead, it just flew in the sky and looked down. There were many evil soul beasts here. Teacher Feng, look! Jiang Nan suddenly exclaimed and pointed to the center in the distance. There was a ball of dark energy floating there. It looked very scary. There were many evil soul beasts below this ball of dark energy. There was even half a broken egg among them. However, this scene was still visible. It didn't look very far, but it was very illusory. It was like a mirage. In fact, it was very far away. It's true. Wang Feng frowned when he saw the broken egg. This egg had a similar aura to the evil soul beast egg that the Skydream iceworm had nurtured. Furthermore, this egg had matured and given birth to Mo-in. Logically speaking, Mo-in was strong, but he wasn't invincible. He was only a titled Douluo at most. In fact, the most troublesome thing was this infection. Once these soul beasts were infected by this special dark energy, their strength would increase greatly. They would also become very aggressive. The golden-head owl was like this. Although it was a tough species, it wouldn't clash with Long Xie the moment they met. Naturally, it was affected. Teacher Feng, there are many evil soul beasts here. Jiang Nan whispered. She could even see with her own eyes that many soul beasts had mistakenly entered. Once soul beasts entered this area, they would slowly be changed. Once they ate any plants in this area, they would become evil soul beasts very quickly. This area was also gradually increasing. At this rate, it wouldn't take more than a year for the entire forest to become this special area. Stay here. I'll go and take a look. Wang Feng looked at this place. The golden-head owl had brought him to this place. Evidently, it was here that it had been infected. Every day that passed, the soul beast forest would shrink in size, and more evil soul beasts would appear. If the evil soul beasts were to erupt one day, Shrek City would naturally be the first to suffer. End of chapter. Chapter 1140. To be precise, it wasn't just Shrek City. Many other cities had them. There were many small and medium-sized soul beast forests, like the purple maple soul beast forest on the continent. When those evil soul beasts were defeated and fled from the continent, they secretly left their eggs behind and distributed them in the forest, taking advantage of the opportunity to breed them. These weren't the eggs of ordinary evil soul beasts. Mo-in was highly intelligent and was no different from a human. He was clearly from another world and had used this method to come to the continent. Teacher Feng, There are so many evil soul beasts here, Jiang Nan said subconsciously. Why don't we go back to the academy and gather all the teachers before we go in? It's too dangerous otherwise. Furthermore, Jiang Nan was worried that people might be infected and turn into evil soul beasts once they entered. This place was so strange. Little girl, you're underestimating my boss. Long Xie sneered. Don't worry, boss. I'll wait for you here and help you look after this girl. Wang Feng waved a hand. He couldn't go back now that he was here. Besides, he had a way to deal with this place. Jiang Nan fell silent when Wang Feng didn't agree to her request. Be careful, Teacher Feng, Jiang Nan said softly. Wang Feng walked straight into the area. When he stepped into this area, a thick black fog suddenly spread out from the basin, which was not very large, and covered the situation inside. Even if he used his mental power to sense it, it was useless. Shit. Long Xie's eyes narrowed. This place was indeed strange. The boss in his line of sight had already disappeared, and he couldn't sense him either. Let's wait. Long Xie crouched down and looked at the darkness in front of him cautiously. Long Xie thought of something and looked at the golden owl. This little thing had been watching his boss ever since he went in. It tilted its head and moved from time to time. It flapped its wings as if it wanted to fly in. Little thing, if you want to help me, why don't you take this girl out? Long Xie roared at the golden cat eagle. The golden owl tilted its head and looked at Long Xie's huge body. It didn't even look at him. Long Xie was infuriated. That little thing really had guts. Don't you know you're a weakling? That. Jiang Nan whispered, I'll wait with you. Long Xie sneered and slapped the cat eagle to the ground with his wings. You little thing, you dare to offend your master Long's dignity? Long Xie sneered. I'll teach you a lesson today. The golden cat eagle was pressed to the ground by Long Xie's huge wings, and it struggled violently. Its two claws scratched the ground like a dog, stirring up clouds of dust. Do you admit defeat? Long Xie snickered. I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of our boss. I'll teach you how to respect your elders. Then Long Xie tightened his wings, and the golden owl couldn't move. It couldn't even scratch the ground with its claws. Long Xie was simply too strong for him. On the other side, Jiang Nan saw this scene and immediately walked over. That Teacher Feng's soul beast, this golden cat eagle, is quite pitiful. Why don't you let it go? What do you know, little girl? Long Xie said. It's easy to break if it's too hard. This little thing is so weak, but it's already so unruly. Do you think I'm teaching it a lesson on purpose? I'm helping it. I don't want it to act so recklessly when it meets other powerful soul beasts in the future. It won't just be a lesson then. It'll pay with its life. Jiang Nan was stunned. She hadn't thought of that. Furthermore, Long Xie's attitude made it clear that he wanted to bully the golden cat eagle. Also, little girl, you have 3 soul rings, and you've killed 3 soul beasts. Why are you pitying the soul beast now? Long Xie glanced at Jiang Nan. Jiang Nan opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say. She hadn't just killed 3 soul beasts. The students of the Shrek Academy had entered the Great Stardow Forest, and they had killed many soul beasts. However, she felt pity for the golden cat eagle that was being bullied by Long Xie. Why didn't you pity the soul beasts when you killed them and obtained their soul rings? Long Xie sneered. Jiang Nan's face turned red. She stammered, But soul masters require us to kill soul beasts and obtain soul rings in order to advance. Do those soul beasts owe you anything? Long Xie shook his head and said disdainfully, You think it's natural for you to kill soul beasts and obtain soul rings. You don't pity the soul beasts. Now, as a soul beast, I'm bullying another soul beast. Little girl, you're too young. Don't meddle in other people's business. Jiang Nan couldn't refute that. She wasn't even 15 years old. She couldn't possibly be a match for Long Xie, who had lived for countless years. I know why you pity it. Long Xie continued. It's in your nature. You don't pity the soul beast. You don't pity it, but you don't like bullying the weak. However, little girl, this is a world where the strong prey on the weak. It's natural for the strong to bully the weak. Jiang Nan fell silent. But you don't have the right to pity it. Long Xie said, Put away your cheap kindness. It won't be grateful to you. It might even think that you're a hypocrite. You're a soul master, and a soul master who has taken the lives of many soul beasts. Jiang Nan lowered her head. The golden cat eagle was even more furious now. Its body shone brightly, and its wings suddenly shrank. They became very thin and light, and they looked like sharp knives. It wanted to attack Long Xie's wings. Unfortunately, the golden cat eagle's wings didn't even scratch Long Xie's wings. This golden head owl only had a cultivation of slightly more than 300 years. Its strength was too weak. Instead, he was shaken to the point that his wings were shattered. Even so, the golden cat eagle didn't give up. It continued to use its wings to attack Long Xie's wings. Seeing this, Jiang Nan was secretly frightened. This golden cat eagle's perseverance was extraordinary. When both of its wings were broken, the golden cat eagle used its sharp beak to poke Long Xie's wings. Seeing this, Long Xie was quite interested. The golden cat eagle's injuries weren't serious to him. Interesting little eagle, Long Xie said. However, his wings were still pressing down on the golden cat eagle. In a chapter 1141. It wasn't convinced at all. Jiang Nan couldn't take it anymore. She walked over and tried to grab Long Xie's wings. However, she realized that his wings were extremely heavy. Long Xie looked at the little eagle. He was interested. He decided to let it go for now. He lifted his wings. The golden head owl seemed to have been flattened. It was lying on the ground. Jiang Nan hurried over and took out some medicine from her soul tool. She applied it on the golden head owl's wings. Screech! Unexpectedly, the golden-headed cat eagle opened its bloody mouth at Jiang Nan and was about to peck her. Fortunately, Jiang Nan dodged in time. See? Long Xie burst into laughter. Little girl, he won't accept your kindness. Jiang Nan pursed her lips and sighed. However, she still placed the medicine in front of the golden head owl. She was thinking about soul masters and soul beasts because of what Long Xie said. Let me do it, Long Xie said with a confident smile. You can save it? Jiang Nan was stunned. Nonsense. I've already said that I'm only going to teach it a lesson. Long Xie smiled. I don't really want to kill it. Otherwise, if Master comes out, cough, cough. Oh, so you're afraid that Teacher Phone will beat you up. Jiang Nan suddenly covered her mouth and laughed. This 10,000-year crag dragon is really afraid of Teacher Phone. Is this what a soul contract master is like? Jiang Nan was very curious. Do you think I'm afraid? Long Xie snorted. Jiang Nan covered her mouth and laughed. She asked curiously, how are you going to save it? Its wings have been crushed by you. Do you have any healing-type soul skills? Of course not. I don't need them. Long Xie shot a disdainful look at the owl. My dragon saliva has healing properties, and it's only a 300-year soul beast. I'll just spit a little bit of saliva on it, and it'll be able to make a full recovery. Perhaps its cultivation will even increase. Dragon saliva, isn't that your saliva? Jiang Nan was confused. If it was a true dragon saliva, then it was dragon saliva. She had heard that it was very useful. The dragon saliva itself was a rare item with many uses. But that was only true for true dragons. However, Jiang Nan had rarely heard of true dragon soul beasts. The crag dragon was just a kind of viper dragon. It couldn't even be considered a member of the dragon clan, although the one in front of him was extraordinary. However, if that was really the case, this crag dragon had a good heart. Jiang Nan thought that since it became Teacher Feng's soul-bonded beast, this crag dragon's heart was still kind, right? However, Long Xie's next words sent chills down her spine. This little thing is stubborn. After I save it, I'll try to save it. It's a good opportunity to teach him a few more lessons so that he won't rest after just one lesson. Long Xie opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of fragrant saliva at the golden-head cat eagle. Jiang Nan was speechless. Was this crag dragon a devil? Screech! When the saliva landed on the owl, it struggled even more violently and wiped the saliva on the ground. It even stuck its beak into the soil, as if it would rather die than accept Long Xie's saliva. Long Xie was furious when he saw that. His saliva was a precious treasure to these low-level soul beasts. Why was this little thing so disgusted with it? Come out. Long Xie stomped his foot and shook the cat eagle out of the ground. Then he pressed the crag dragon against the ground with both hands and spat out another mouthful of saliva. This saliva contained soul power. Of course, it wasn't just normal saliva. It also contained a bit of his origin power. It wasn't simple. Otherwise, Long Xie wouldn't have said that it was a treasure for weak soul beasts. When the saliva landed on the crag dragon's wings, it made the crag dragon look like it had just been fished out of the water. However, its broken wings and beak were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. It's telling the truth, but Jiang Nannim looked at the crag dragon. She realized that the crag dragon looked like it had nothing left to live for, as if it had been raped by Gong Rue. Jiang Nannim blushed, perhaps because she felt that her thoughts were a little dirty. Little thing. Long Xie let go and smiled proudly. You think I can't take care of you? After letting go, Long Xie looked at the crag dragon. He realized that the crag dragon was glaring at him. It was filled with anger and hatred, but it calmed down a little. Long Xie's heart skipped a beat. This little crag dragon was interesting. A few hours later, the cat eagle recovered and launched a new round of attacks at Long Xie. Just as the crag dragon and the crag dragon were fighting outside, Wang Feng had also entered this special area. A special dark energy was scattered all around. It was a special energy that was similar to the origin energy of the Douluo world. Of course, soul masters couldn't absorb it. Once they absorbed it, their bodies wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, if they absorbed it forcefully, it would stimulate the soul master's cultivation and increase it for a short period of time. However, as time passed, many problems would arise. Wang Feng estimated that the soul master's lifespan would decrease, his life force would decrease, and he would lose all his abilities. It would be a huge blow to the soul master's soul and mind. Eventually, the soul master would lose his self-awareness and become something like an evil soul beast. Wang Feng's purple origin runes were able to absorb and transform this special darkness energy. After walking for a long time, Wang Feng arrived at the center. The evil mist around him became thicker, and the roars of evil soul beasts could be heard from time to time. Hordes of soul beasts surged over from all directions like a tidal wave. The black weeds on the ground exuded a special aura that seemed to corrode souls. Wang Feng saw many soul beasts. Most of them were infected and became evil soul beasts. There were even some like the diamond dragonhawks that Xiao mentioned before. Such a rare soul beast couldn't be compared to a common eagle-type soul beast like the golden owl. Other than that, Wang Feng also saw a rare spiritual-type soul beast, the jade shell crystal monster. This soul beast looked like a hexagonal piece of jade. Its body only had a pair of eyes and a mouth. If one looked at it from one side, it looked like a two-dimensional creature. One could only see it from the side. Spiritual-type soul beasts were very rare. There is only one jade shell crystal monster among so many evil soul beasts. This jade shell crystal monster was even rarer. Although it wasn't very strong, it was very suitable as a soul-bond beast. This was because in addition to having strong spiritual power, this kind of jade shell crystal monster's defensive power was also outstanding. In a chapter. Chapter 1142. No wonder we only found an amethyst rhino after searching for more than a day. I knew it. Although these soul beasts are rare in such a huge forest, it's impossible that we didn't find any. So they're all here, infected. Wang Feng smiled as he thought until this point. The diamond dragonhawk and the jade shell crystal monster were suitable soul-bonded beasts for Xiao and Huiyuhao. Both of them were very rare. As long as they were nurtured well, their abilities would increase tremendously in the future. There's still little Wudong. Wang Feng looked at the restless evil soul beasts around him. He had found another suitable soul-bonding beast for little Wudong. It was a rare plant-type soul beast, the flaming sunflower. This flower would release a special fragrance and spit out a special light. It could affect the fighting strength of many soul beasts. At the same time, it possessed a certain degree of offensive ability. Its petals had a strong burning effect, which was extraordinary. It was a soul beast with both auxiliary and offensive abilities. It was very suitable for Wang Dong's abilities. Wang Dong was an assault-type soul master. The only thing he needed was strong auxiliary abilities, or to strengthen his martial soul. This flaming sunflower was perfect for him as a soul beast. In fact, plant-type soul beasts were essentially the same as natural treasures. It was just that natural treasures were extraordinary. Plant-type soul beasts were much more common. Although they had life, the difficulty and speed of their cultivation were worlds apart from that of natural treasures. The biggest difference was their soul rings. The cultivation methods of those natural treasures were different from those of soul beasts. Normally, they didn't have soul rings. They usually didn't have soul rings unless they were very old. The biggest difference was that their bodies were very useful after they were consumed. Plant-type soul beasts had soul rings and could give them to humans. On the contrary, they didn't have much of an effect after they were consumed. It's not very complicated to nurture this flaming sunflower. Wang Feng was in a good mood after finding 3 suitable soul beasts in one go. Next, he just had to deal with this place and restore these evil soul beasts to their original states. Then, this trip would end perfectly. Wang Feng walked forward slowly. He didn't know how long he had walked, but he finally arrived in front of the broken egg. Such a long distance was far greater than what he had seen from the outside. This egg was relatively large, and half of it was broken. At this moment, there was a cloud of black mist floating above the egg. The black mist and the half-egg were the source of this area. "Human, I have been waiting for you for a long time." Mo Yin's voice suddenly sounded from within the mist. "What? You can't wait to be destroyed by me?" Wang Feng said with a smile. "Destroyed by you?" The black mist let out an accented laugh. "It's not certain who will be the one to destroy who. You used a power that transcends this world to destroy my body. You are so powerful. But do you know why my soul didn't escape?" "Why?" Mo Yin laughed heartily, but did not say a word. Obviously, he was not so proud that he would reveal his secret. "Let me guess." However, Wang Feng still smiled and said, "You must be thinking that this human is so powerful, even more powerful than your body that has been nurtured here for so many years. If you take over this human's body, won't you become stronger? So, you covet my body, don't you? Otherwise, your soul would have escaped long ago." Mo Yin laughed coldly. He did not refute or admit it. "It seems like it's not just those girls." Wang Feng sighed. "I didn't expect that even you creatures from other worlds would covet my body." TSK. This human, the black mist could not help but move. Then, it turned into a sinister shadow and charged toward Wang Feng. It was extremely decisive. Wang Feng frowned slightly. This black mist was a blood mist. It was soul energy that was nurtured by this egg. It was not the special kind of dark energy. The dark energy in this area was emitted by Mo Yin using his soul energy to activate this half-egg. The dark energy was not emitted by his soul. Otherwise, he would not have been trapped in this broken egg shell. Suicide? Wang Feng laughed coldly and charged over just like that. Not to mention whether his 7 purple origin patterns could absorb his soul energy, even if they could not. With the powerful mental energy in his sea of consciousness and the suppression of the light and dark angel, how could a mere soul invade his body? It was simply a fool's dream. The pitch-black shadow instantly enveloped Wang Feng. In an instant, a consciousness appeared in Wang Feng's sea of consciousness. The 7 purple patterns on his body lit up slightly, as if they were going to absorb his soul. However, it was obvious that the 7 purple origin patterns were unable to absorb the soul energy. They could only absorb the special kind of dark energy. There was an essential difference between the intangible soul energy and the material dark energy. Wang Feng was not in a hurry. He activated the front secret art and used this powerful soul cultivation method to create a soul storm in his sea of consciousness. Mo Yin's soul which had just entered Wang Feng's sea of consciousness, was immediately swept into the soul storm. It was a pity that if Wang Feng had the chaotic green lotus and the Pangu Axe martial soul, his soul would have been crushed. It was just like when Long Xie had released an evil thought into Wang Feng's sea of consciousness. Under the soul storm, Mo Yin's soul let out a miserable howl. However, within this howl, there was a strange smile. It was a carefree smile. Wang Feng suspected that Mo Yin was a masochist. The mental energy in his sea of consciousness had already condensed from a mist to a water droplet. His mental energy was extremely powerful. The soul storm that had been set off was suppressed by the light and dark angel martial soul. Mo Yin's soul was almost torn apart when it was swept into the soul storm. How can he still laugh? I beg you to let me go. Don't swallow my soul. I will tell you everything I know. Amidst this carefree laughter, Mo Yin started to beg for mercy. This made Wang Feng even more shocked. There must be something fishy going on. There might be a trap. Wang Fengxin was shocked. If a normal person heard what Mo Yin said, they would definitely tell him everything that he knew. However, Mo Yin's words made Wang Feng a little suspicious. Oh, Wang Feng asked calmly, what do you know? I know a lot of things, Mo Yin quickly said. For example, where did I come from? What is my purpose? What is the relationship between these evil soul beasts and us? Wait, aren't you curious? Wang Feng was indeed curious. Where did these fellows come from? When I know all these things after I devour your soul? Wang Feng suddenly asked, why do you have to tell me yourself? End of chapter. Chapter 1143. It was different from extermination. Devouring another person's soul was equivalent to inheriting their memories. If the person inside the egg hadn't awakened their memories before the egg hatched, they wouldn't know anything even if they were devoured. However, Mo Yin had hatched completely from the egg. If he devoured his soul now, he would naturally know everything he knew. No. I can't devour my soul. If you devour it, you will be infected. When that happens, you won't be human anymore. Mo Yin hurriedly said, your cultivation and abilities will change drastically. You don't have to give up on yourself just because you know this. I can tell you too. All right. Wang Feng squinted his eyes. Tell me then. That's right. Mo Yin heaved a sigh of relief and said, I'll tell you then. However, at this moment, the spiritual storm in Wang Feng's mind spun even faster. In an instant, Mo Yin let out an even more miserable shriek. I'm sorry, I don't believe you. I'll devour your soul directly. When that happens, I'll know everything. Wang Feng said plainly. You, Mo Yin screamed, but he could only roar in anger and helplessness. Then go ahead and devour it. Just wait to be infected. Wang Feng laughed coldly. The spiritual storm's strength increased by 30%. The secret of front revolved crazily and started to devour Mo Yin's soul. After a short while, Mo Yin's soul started to turn into streaks of black smoke. They were about to fuse into the spiritual water droplet. At this moment, a voice sounded. Don't absorb it, boss. Once you absorb it, you'll be able to read his memories. However, the other world will know everything about you. This voice was very sudden, but stunned Wang Feng. It was Qilin Lord Isimu's voice. Wang Feng took out Qilin Lord Isimu's egg from his soul tool. You've been nurtured inside? What do you mean? Wang Feng sensed Qilin Lord Isimu's egg. Very soon, these fellows came from a place called the Dark Devil World. I'm not too sure about the details. However, this spirit devouring goes both ways. Boss, you might not know the answers to the questions he asked, but once your soul devours the other party's soul, the other party will definitely know everything about you. This soul skill is called Spiritual Link. It's a powerful soul skill from the Dark Devil realm. Because my soul has also absorbed part of the newborn soul in this egg. Unfortunately, its soul wasn't complete. Because it hadn't been fully nurtured, the soul link didn't work. So, I know some of its nascent instincts. The other side doesn't know about my situation. Qilin Lord Isimu promptly said. This Mo Yin said that on purpose just now. Then, he used reverse psychology to make you realize the blind spot in his knowledge so that he could devour his soul. He's using himself as bait. Hearing this, Wang Feng's eyes flashed. Indeed, this Mo-in really had some tricks up his sleeve. In the beginning, he did not want to devour the other party's soul. He only wanted to kill him. Mo-in had purposely said that he was still useful and could tell him everything he knew. Of course, he wouldn't say it out loud. Instead, he just wanted to make him realize that he could devour the other party's soul to learn everything. He even deliberately said that there would be danger after devouring the other party's soul just to provoke him. This was because Mo-in understood that with his strength and pride, he would definitely not be afraid of this. Soul Link, Dark Devil Realm's soul skill. Wang Feng pondered. If everything about him was known by people from other worlds, it wouldn't be a good thing. As he thought till here, Wang Fengxin thought to himself, that was a close call. Fortunately, Qilin Lord Isimu had devoured an egg before. Otherwise, he would have suffered a small setback today. After all, Wang Feng knew nothing about this Dark Devil Realm. Boss, let's destroy his soul directly. At this moment, Qilin Lord Isimu continued, I can use the remaining Dark Devil Qi in the eggshell to give birth. It will take about a few days. Dark Devil Qi? That's right. This special dark energy is called Dark Devil Qi. Those evil soul beasts also absorbed this Dark Devil Qi. The soul in the egg that I devoured was still very weak. Its memories are very limited. I only know this much about the Dark Devil Realm. Wang Feng nodded slightly. He finally knew what this special dark energy was. It was indeed not energy from the Douluo continent. Destroy? Soul Link? Interesting. Wang Feng suddenly laughed. I don't think there's a need to destroy it so quickly. I can't absorb it, but I can try to use my martial soul to absorb it. I wonder what changes will happen. Qilin Lord Isimu was stunned when he heard this. Boss, this idea seems possible. Your angel martial soul is very unique. The seven wings have an aura similar to this Dark Devil Qi. Wang Feng smiled. He did this because the initial form of the Angel of Light and Dark was the Dark Angel Martial Soul. It should be related to this Dark Devil Qi. Wang Feng remembered that the Godly King of Destruction and the others said that the Dark Angel of the Godly Realm had fallen in order to obtain great power. However, it was not clear where it fell and where it obtained great power. Now, it seemed like Wang Feng guessed that it was related to the Dark Devil Realm. Otherwise, the Dark Devil Qi would not be absorbed so easily by the seven purple origins of the Angel of Light and Dark Martial Soul. Then you should absorb this half of the egg first. I will try to use the Light and Dark Angel Martial Soul to absorb his soul. Even if there is a soul link, it will only be a linked Angel of Light and Dark Martial Soul. Wang Feng felt that something interesting might happen. The Angel of Light and Dark Martial Soul originated from the Origin Tribulation Godly King. The Dark Angel and Light Angel were split from the Origin Tribulation Godly King. However, the Dark Angel Martial Soul betrayed the Godly Realm and fell into another realm. If it was the Dark Devil Realm, then the Dark Devil Realm should be familiar with the Angel of Light and Dark Martial Soul. I wonder what will happen. Wang Feng's eyes shone with curiosity. He first placed the Qilin Lord Isimu's egg in the half of the eggshell. Then he absorbed the Dark Angel Martial Soul into Mo Yin's soul a few days later. Outside, Long Xie and Jiang Nan waited for a few days. The Golden Owl was bullied and taught a lesson by Long Xie for a few days. Since the first time, the Golden Owl seemed to have calmed down. However, it was even more furious and agitated. Whenever Long Xie taught it a lesson, it would retaliate violently. Every time it would be scarred. Long Xie was very interested in the owl, and he didn't want to get tired of wasting time with it. End of chapter. Chapter 1144. Jiang Nan was a little impressed, but also a little helpless. She was impressed by the golden head owl's stubbornness. It wasn't willing to give in. However, Jiang Nan could tell that Long Xie wouldn't harm the golden head owl. Even if the golden head owl was on the verge of death, he would use his dragon saliva to heal it. Over the past few days, Her relationship with the golden-head owl had improved a little. Brother Long Xie, it's been a few days. Why hasn't Teacher Feng come out yet? Now that they were more familiar with each other, Jiang Nanan didn't feel as distant from Long Xie as before. He should be out soon, Long Xie said lazily. The special dark energy inside has weakened a lot. It seems like Master has found a way to deal with this place. As he spoke, Long Xie started to teach the golden-head owl lesson. Little owl, how do you want to play today? Long Xie laughed devilishly. The golden-head owl glanced at Long Xie coldly. Although it hadn't signed a life contract with Long Xie, its intelligence had improved a lot after being tortured by Long Xie over the past few days. Jiang Nanan nodded. It could only watch helplessly. At this moment, a few figures suddenly walked over from afar. Are you Jiang Nanan? A cold voice sounded from afar. Jiang Nanan was stunned, but she just happened to see an ethereal figure riding on a crescent moon, flying over from afar. There were a few other figures following behind her. There was even a lady who looked like a flame. It was Ma Xiaotao and the others. Without the golden-head owl leading the way, they only found this place after a few days. Jiang Nanan knew who the leader was. She was the top student in the inner courtyard, Zhang Lishuan. Why are you here? Jiang Nanan wasn't very familiar with Huiyu Hao, but she knew who Ma Xiaotao and Zhang Lishuan were. However, she only knew them. She didn't know them. I'm here on orders from the Academy to bring you back. The Academy has ordered that without the Academy's permission, no students are allowed to enter the forest. Zhang Lishuan walked out and looked at Long Xie. She seemed to understand something. Where is teacher Wang Feng? She rushed over from the Academy and found Ma Xiaotao and the others immediately. However, she didn't find Wang Feng. According to Ma Xiaotao's explanation, Wang Feng had gone ahead to find the students who had been attacked by the evil soul beasts. Zhang Lishuan had no choice but to bring a few people along and search the soul beast forest. A few days later, he finally found this place and found Jiang Nanan, who had been attacked by evil soul beasts. Now that the soul-carving beast was here, it meant that Wang Feng should be nearby. But where was he? Zhang Lishuan looked at the dark area in front of her. Black mist swirled around it, making it impossible to see what was happening inside. Jiang Nanan quickly recounted what had happened to Zhang Lishuan. She didn't know much about Moin. She could only say that Wang Feng had defeated this evil 10,000-year soul beast, and then came to this place to destroy its soul. Merge into it. How many days has it been? Zhang Lishuan asked. 3 days, Jiang Nanan replied. Teacher Feng told Big Brother Long Xie to wait here. You can't go in. 3 days? Zhang Lishuan frowned slightly. I'll go in and look for Senior. Ma Xiaotao stood up and was about to walk inside. You guys just stay here. Senior Sister Zhang, stay here and protect them. However, Zhang Lishuan stopped her. Xiaotao, I'm stronger than you. Furthermore, I have the responsibility and obligation to bring all of you back safely. If anything happens to you, how am I going to answer to him? It's the same for him. Zhang Lishuan lowered her voice. I'll go and look for him. You should protect them. Ma Xiaotao was stunned. She hesitated for a moment before looking at Long Xie. Long Xie, Senior is your boss. Are you that relaxed? Why aren't you going in? You're just a little girl. What do you know? Long Xie glanced at Zhang Lishuan and Long Xie. You can't go wrong if you listen to your boss. He told us not to go in. Even if we did, we wouldn't be able to help. I advise you to wait here. Soul masters like you can't absorb the dark energy here. You'll be in trouble if you go in. Don't blame me for not warning you. Long Xie continued to bully the golden owl after he finished speaking. Ma Xiaotao frowned. But what if something happens to teacher? Huiyu Hao whispered. Yes, yes. Xiao Xiao nodded. Don't tell me you're a coward. Wang Dong didn't hold back. Long Xie yawned and continued to lie on the ground. The few of you are really stupid. You're about to become soul charters, but you still don't understand. If boss is in danger, do you think I won't sense it? If something happens to boss, I'll be the first to sense it. Huiyu Hao and the others were stunned when they heard this. They lowered their heads in embarrassment. That's true. Hikaitu patted the amethyst rhino beside him. If a soul-chartering beast is in danger, I'll be able to sense it as long as it's not too far away. But we can't just wait here. Zhang Lishuan said, Shout out, listen to me. I'll go in and take a look. She wasn't a soul chartering master. She was naturally skeptical of Long Xie's words. Then all right. Ma Xiaodao thought for a moment. Jiang Nan opened her mouth. She wanted to persuade her, but Zhang Lishuan turned her palm. She stepped on a crescent moon and flew in like a fairy. Long Xie chuckled as he watched Zhang Lishuan's back. He muttered in his heart, This little girl has a sense of responsibility. She just doesn't know her limits. Forget it. I'll leave it to you, boss. Zhang Lishuan's heart sank when she entered this area of darkness. Her soul power formed a protective barrier that isolated the black fog around her. However, Zhang Lishuan could clearly sense that this dark energy was extremely corrosive and aggressive. It wasn't as gentle as the origin energy of heaven and earth. If this energy was absorbed into the body, it would cause great harm to a soul master's body. Zhang Lishuan calmed herself down and continued forward. Soon, Zhang Lishuan realized that her soul power was being depleted very quickly. It couldn't support her for long in this place. If this continues, I'll be in big trouble before I can find Wang Feng. Zhang Lishuan pondered for a few seconds before she decisively turned back. She didn't even fly to conserve her soul power. However, even as she turned back, she realized that she couldn't make out the dense fog around her. She walked back for a long time, but she still couldn't find her way out. Zhang Lishuan's heart sank when she saw this. Am I lost? The vegetation here was pure black. There wasn't much difference between them. Zhang Lishuan was stuck in a dilemma. Zhang Lishuan had no choice but to continue forward. At the same time, she used her moon to control it with her soul power so that she could scout ahead. She didn't know how long she had walked, but she felt that her soul power was about to be depleted. Finally, the scene in front of her changed. However, she was still a little dizzy. A figure appeared in front of her, and Zhang Lishuan's eyes widened in shock. There's still 4 more tonight. Please count your votes. I saw everyone's choices. Most of them are 1 or 3. I understand now. In a chapter. Chapter 1145. It's the aura of an evil soul beast. Zhang Lishuan was originally in a daze, but she was jolted awake. She was stunned as she looked at the figure in front of her. It was Wang Feng's back. However, a pitch-black aura surrounded him at this moment. This aura fused perfectly with the aura of this place, as if they were one. At this moment, he seemed to have entered the state of being possessed by his martial soul. 14 pairs of familiar light wings flapped behind his back. Every time they flapped, countless strands of energy would be absorbed. There was also an egg in front of him. Demonic patterns could be seen on the egg, and there were also strange, icy patterns. The surrounding temperature was dropping rapidly. However, what shocked her the most was the aura of an evil soul beast. Could he have been infected by the special aura of this place after staying here for so long? Zhang Lishuan muttered to herself. She knew the situation here very well. Once one entered, it would be very difficult to leave. If one's soul power was depleted, the aura would enter one's body, and one could easily become an evil soul beast. Zhang Lishuan knew that the aura here was very frightening. Once a soul master inhaled it, he or she would be doomed. 3 days. I've only been here for half a day, and I can't take it anymore. Zhang Lishuan walked toward the figure in front of her. Her heart was heavy. Jiang Nan and his soul-bonded beast had both said that nothing would happen. However, the truth was, even she could only last half a day. It was already very impressive that he could last 3 days in here. And that egg, Zhang Lishuan was most fearful of that egg. She could faintly feel that this egg contained a terrifying life form. Elder Mu and Ancestor Xian said that eggs that contain the aura of evil soul beasts appear in many soul beast forests. Some powerful evil soul beasts can change the entire forest by themselves. They can infect countless soul beasts and turn them into evil soul beasts. This is a very serious threat. When she arrived, Elder Mu and Elder Xian had just returned from the Federation's Central Martial Soul Palace. Naturally, They brought back news that shocked the entire continent. Otherwise, the Academy wouldn't have prohibited students from entering the various soul beast forests. Could this egg be the culprit? Zhang Lishuan's heart sank as she thought. Not only has Wang Feng been infected, but this place has also given birth to an extremely powerful evil soul beast. A crescent moon appeared in Zhang Lishuan's hand once more. Several soul rings flickered on her body, and her crescent moon martial soul appeared in Zhang Lishuan's hand, emanating a cold light. The closer they got, the more conflicted Zhang Lishuan felt. On the one hand, he had to get rid of Hui Yuhao when he saw that Hui Yuhao had been infected and was now an evil soul master. However, when he thought about how he would also become an evil soul master, the best outcome would be to commit suicide so that he could preserve a complete corpse. He entered this place in order to deal with this place, but now he's going to end up like this. Zhang Lishuan felt extremely conflicted. 10 steps, 8 steps, 6 steps. Zhang Lishuan took a deep breath as she got closer and closer to him. She knew that more people would die if she didn't see him kill them. The people outside would all die. She only hoped that those people would not come in. Finally, on the 5th step, when he was only 5 steps away from his opponent. At this moment, an even stronger aura suddenly erupted from Wang Feng's body. Zhang Lishuan, who was only 5 steps away from him, was the first to be struck by this aura and fainted. At this moment, the soul power barrier on his body was also shattered. Boundless dark demonic energy surged into Zhang Lishuan's body. Suddenly, Zhang Lishuan's head buzzed. As this aura entered her body, her soul started to tremble uncontrollably. Her body started to absorb the boundless aura around her uncontrollably, as if she was sucking a poppy flower. However tenaciously they had resisted earlier, they were now indulging themselves in the same way. As the dark demonic energy surged into her body, Zhang Lishuan's soul power started to change. The snow-white crescent in her hand started to turn black, just like a lunar eclipse. As she absorbed more, Zhang Lishuan couldn't help but walk towards Wang Feng in front of her. This was because Hui Yuhao was releasing the most dark demonic energy, which was also the most attractive. She was still conscious at this moment. However, after her body came into contact with the dark demonic energy, especially after she absorbed it, a chemical reaction seemed to have occurred. She started to absorb it uncontrollably. In addition, the dark demonic energy was the densest in this place. No, I have to stop, Zhang Lishuan frantically told herself in her mind. However, it was useless. For steps, 2 steps. Finally, she was only 10 centimeters away from Hui Yuhao. Zhang Lishuan felt her entire body trembling. This was because she felt that this person's aura was fatally attractive. Her body couldn't help but want to pounce on him. At this moment, Wang Feng still didn't know what was happening outside. More accurately speaking, when he controlled the angel of light and dark to absorb Mo Yin's spirit, his consciousness seemed to have entered a special space. The angel of light and dark's uniqueness, as well as the spiritual connection from the dark demon world, made it impossible for Wang Feng to deduce what happened next. He used the angel of light and dark to absorb Mo Yin's spirit out of curiosity. This was because Wang Feng knew that the dark demon world was closely related to the dark angel. If Lin Lord Bingmu was right, the dark demon world would definitely sense something once a spiritual connection was formed. His consciousness was in a pitch-black space, and he couldn't sense anything. Suddenly, in this dark space, a ray of light lit up in front of him. Wang Feng was stunned. He wanted to rush towards the beam of light, but he realized that it was infinitely far away. Furthermore, the closer he got to the beam of light, the more Mo Yin's memories were transmitted to him through the angel of light and dark. The dark demon world, the 9 great demon gods, the 18th sequence, dark domain, the soul, descending shrine. Unfamiliar words and languages flowed into the angel of light and dark martial soul and Wang Feng's mind along with Mo Yin's memories. An even more vast and bizarre world appeared in Wang Feng's mind like the tip of an iceberg. But what surprised Wang Feng was that Mo-in didn't have many memories. There were many terms that Mo-in didn't know. In other words, he wasn't considered a high-ranking person. He wasn't even considered a mid to low-ranking person. He didn't know much about many terms. For example, Mo-in only knew 2 of the 9 great demon gods in the dark demon world. Most of them were trivial matters regarding the dark demon world. His main purpose here was to nurture the dark demon chi and absorb the origin energy of the Douluo continent. He was just cannon fodder. Where is this place? Wang Feng's consciousness controlled the angel of light and dark to sense his surroundings. Apart from the beam of light in the center, he didn't know anything else. This place seemed unusually barren, as if no one had been here for a long time. After sensing for a long time, Wang Feng had no choice but to withdraw his consciousness from the angel of light and dark and leave this mysterious space. Wang Feng felt that he didn't know much about this mysterious space, so he couldn't do anything about it. Perhaps there's more to this mysterious space, Wang Feng thought to himself. This spiritual connection soul skill is a wonderful soul skill. End of chapter. Chapter 1146. Even if he didn't know how to, he would be able to learn a lot about the dark demon world if he devoured living beings like Mo-in in the future. Wang Feng could tell from Mo-yin's fragmented memories that the dark demon world was comparable to the godly realm. It might even be more powerful than the godly realm. Why would such a powerful place invade the Douluo continent? Wang Fengxin thought to himself, if they want to invade, they should invade the godly realm. When the dark angel fell into the dark demon world and was killed by the other godly kings, didn't they form a grudge? Why didn't they attack the godly realm, but the Douluo continent? This place shouldn't be much to the dark demon world. With Mo-yin's level of strength, he was just a small cannon fodder-like existence in the dark devil world. However, he was comparable to a titled Douluo in the Douluo continent. Furthermore, he was very difficult to kill. This was enough to show how strong the dark demon world was. After thinking for a long time, Wang Feng still couldn't understand, so he stopped thinking about it. Why is someone hugging me? Damn, don't tell me it's Landlord Bingmu. At this moment, Wang Feng suddenly felt as if his body was being hugged tightly by something soft. Subconsciously, Wang Feng pushed it away. A figure was thrown out of his body. Wang Feng was stunned when he saw that figure. Zhang Lishuan? Why is she here? Wang Feng was a little speechless. He even touched his face and realized that it was wet. Have I been taken advantage of? Wang Feng was furious. What a careless mistake. How could I be taken advantage of? Wang Feng thought for a moment before he walked over and looked at Zhang Lishuan. He looked at Zhang Lishuan and furrowed his brow. He roughly understood why he was taken advantage of. Her body was invaded by the dark demon chi. Wang Feng thought to himself, fortunately, you met me. Otherwise, you would have died here today. The dark demon chi was a special energy in the dark demon world. It was a level higher than the origin energy of heaven and earth. It was only suitable for living beings in the dark demon world to cultivate. This energy was very domineering and brutal. Compared to a human's body, it was weaker and could be easily destroyed by the dark demon chi. Even a titled Douluo would feel terrible if the dark demonic chi invaded their bodies, let alone Zhang Lishuan, who was over rank 70. Losing consciousness was one thing, but the most important thing was that it would be like being poisoned, madly absorbing the dark devil chi. However, the body would not be able to withstand it, and for a short period of time, their cultivation would rise, but they would not be far from death. It was roughly the same as Wang Feng's previous guess. It should be because I absorbed Mo-yin's soul when I used the light and dark angel martial soul to possess her body. This caused the angel of light and dark to change and gather the surrounding dark devil chi. The concentration of the dark devil chi increased and attracted her, who was already poisoned by the dark devil chi. Wang Feng pressed his palm against Zhang Lishuan's forehead, and a purple origin pattern lit up on his palm as he absorbed the dark demonic chi in Zhang Lishuan's body. While absorbing, Wang Feng also took a few glances. Zhang Lishuan was still dressed in white. but her lips had turned from light red to pitch black. Her eyebrows were also pitch black, and her eyes were pitch black except for her pupils. If she dyed her hair white, she would definitely be a white-haired demoness. The transformation from a fairy to a demoness happened in an instant. Combined with Zhang Lishuan's original aura, the pure and cold fairy and the cold and seductive demoness were two completely different auras. They actually appeared on her face at the same time. It was unbelievable. However, as the dark devil chi was absorbed, Zhang Lishuan's condition gradually improved. At this moment, the Lin Lord of Ice Wood's egg suddenly cracked into countless pieces. The extreme cold dissipated the aura in the surroundings, and the air seemed to be in a frozen state. Wang Feng looked at Lin Lord of Icewood, and he was delighted. This fellow has finally broken out of the egg. His long wait was not in vain. As the eggshell cracked, an icy black radiance jumped out of the eggshell. Following that, a tiny figure jumped out. Lin Lord of Icewood. Wang Feng opened his eyes wide and looked over. He was extremely shocked. That was because the Lin Lord of Icewood in front of him was very different from the one in the extreme north 10,000 years ago. Previously, the Lin Lord of Icewood was white in color. However, the Lin Lord of Icewood in front of him was black. Because it was a newborn, it was very small. It was about the same size as the evil dragon when it became a stone beast. The mechanical wings on its back also changed slightly. It jumped out of the eggshell and landed on the ground. Evidently, it had devoured all the eggshells on the ground. Its aura became stronger and stronger, and its size also increased. You seem to have changed from an absolute ice element. Wang Feng looked at the Lin Lord of Icewood in surprise. It was black. How rare. I have indeed changed. Lin Lord of Icewood stood on the ground and looked at its current size. It was a little helpless. I should have changed from an absolute ice element to a dual element, ice and darkness. Fortunately, it was born from an egg, and its body was still that of Lin Lord of Icewood. However, it was now black and white. Because it was still in its infancy, many parts of its body had yet to mature. Then shouldn't you be called Dark Lin Lord of Icewood? Wang Feng laughed and said, You devoured the eggs that the dark devil world placed in the soul beast forest through the evil soul beasts. You can control the darkness element. How do you feel? I'm definitely stronger than before. Dual element, and it's an extreme dual element. Dark devil energy is the most extreme form of darkness energy. The power of absolute ice is an element that surpasses the extreme. Lin Lord of Icewood pondered and said, If I cultivate back to 1,000,000 years ago, I'll be many times stronger than before. This body is also extraordinarily strong. Of course it's strong. The egg that you devoured was nurtured by the sky dream ice worm, using his own energy of heaven and earth for many years. Wang Feng laughed and said, My body is naturally strong. Right now, Lin Lord of Ice would have an extremely high starting point. Compared to Long Xie, there was a big difference. However, Long Xie had undergone some training, and with his own blood, there wasn't much of a difference. The darkness element in my body isn't dark devil energy. It's born from dark devil energy. In addition, I have absolute ice power, so I'm not affected by dark devil energy. Lin Lord of Ice would continued. I'll restore the evil soul beasts and special areas to their original state. All right, Wang Feng nodded. Now that Lin Lord of Ice would had started to cultivate again, Wang Feng had one less worry. After obtaining part of Mo Yin's memories, Wang Feng was a little curious about the Dark Devil world. Furthermore, in a few years at most, the Dark Devil world might send a large batch of truly strong individuals into the Douluo continent. Wang Feng wanted to explore the Dark Devil world. He wanted to use this time to train this smuff to rank 80 or 90, just in case. When that happened, Wang Feng wouldn't be fearless even if the demon gods from the Dark Devil world came knocking on his door. With a plan in mind, Wang Feng's gaze landed on Zhang Lishuan. Chapter 1147. Zhang Lishuan finally woke up in a daze. It was as if she had a long dream. When she opened her eyes, She saw a face that was so handsome that she couldn't even dream of it. "You're awake?" Wang Feng let go of her hand. "Why are you here?" Zhang Lishuan's mind was in a mess. She felt the soul power in her body and was slightly stunned. The special energy had disappeared. Furthermore, the special energy around her was also disappearing. Even the thick fog was gradually disappearing. What happened? Zhang Lishuan stared at Wang Feng in a daze. The memories in her head started to flood out. After a while, Zhang Lishuan saw the marks on Wang Feng's face, and her face turned red. Zhang Lishuan hurriedly stood up. She was a little embarrassed. "Your body was corroded by the dark energy here just now." Wang Feng coughed twice and said, "However, I can absorb part of this special dark energy, so I absorbed it from your body. Don't come in so recklessly next time." "You can absorb it?" Zhang Lishuan was stunned. "Otherwise, how do you think you woke up?" Wang Feng wiped the water stains and marks off his face. However, Zhang Lishuan sensed his actions. He must know. "I did it to him just now." Zhang Lishuan's face turned red. Fortunately, she was an adult. Although she had never done anything to other guys, she wasn't as embarrassed as a young girl. "I thought you were infected by the energy here," Zhang Lishuan whispered. "Oh yes, where's that egg?" Zhang Lishuan looked in front of her. She clearly saw an egg in front of Wang Feng. "Why is it gone now?" "What egg?" Wang Feng asked calmly. Zhang Lishuan furrowed her brow slightly. She told him about her purpose for coming and the egg. According to the Federation's speculation, that egg was left behind by the evil soul beasts in the Soul Beast Forest. Recently, evil soul beasts of different sizes appeared in many of the Soul Beast forests that had been cleared out in the 3 political regions. After the Federation sent a titled law to investigate, they discovered that it was most likely caused by the special evil soul beasts that were born from these eggs. "Oh," Wang Fengxin said. It seemed that the Federation had also noticed it and had probably come into contact with it. But it was too late. However, this method of concealment was indeed troublesome. For example, the simple-minded Skydream Iceworm had brought that egg back and nurtured it for so many years, but he didn't know that it was actually a chicken that had laid an egg. There was probably a similar situation in his hometown as well. "Then it's fine. This egg should have been eaten by my soul-bonded beast," Wang Feng said without batting an eyelid. "Isn't your soul-bonded beast outside?" Zhang Lishuan was stunned. "Eaten? Can this be eaten? If he ate it, wouldn't he be done for? Become a real, evil soul beast? This is my second soul-bonding beast." Wang Feng waved his hand at Lin Lord Ice Empress, who was absorbing the surrounding dark demonic energy and helping the evil soul beasts to recover. "His name is Ice Qilin," Wang Feng introduced with a smile. "Ice Qilin." Zhang Lishuan looked over and saw Lin Lord Ice Empress's black and white shoulders. Its body was very artistic and had a unique mechanical feel to it. The black ice horns on its head were like a crown, and it gave off a strong sense of oppression as it stood there. Its aura was so strong that one couldn't help but submit to it. "That's right. As my soul-bonded beast, he also has the ability to absorb this dark energy." Wang Feng nodded. Zhang Lishuan was silent. She didn't expect this to happen. After a while, the dense black fog around them disappeared, and the dark demonic energy around them disappeared. Naturally, the dark demonic energy would decrease very quickly. The few soul beasts that Wang Feng had chosen for Xiao Xiao, Wang Dong, and Huiyu Hao also returned to their original states. Let's go out. They should be more worried." Wang Feng tidied his clothes. He had gained a lot from this trip. His greatest gain was knowing about the Dark Demon Realm. He also understood how the God Realm lost contact with the Douluo continent. It must have been done by the Dark Demon Realm. Zhang Lishuan nodded and walked out with Wang Feng. She still had some doubts in her heart. Because the black fog had dissipated, Zhang Lishuan could see the interior of this place clearly. It was like a maze, a special maze formed by special trees and plants. The moment he stepped into this area, he was shocked. As soon as they entered, the path changed. "No wonder I got lost." Zhang Lishuan sighed helplessly. Not long later, Zhang Lishuan heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Ma Xiaotao and the rest. "Boss, you're finally out." Long Xie was the first to fly over. He saw Qilin Lord Isimu behind Wang Feng. "Damn, old Isimu, did you change your skin? How did you become so handsome?" Long Xie was stunned as he looked at Qilin Lord Isimu. Qilin Lord Isimu's body was black and white, and his eyes were blue. Although he still looked young, he was extraordinary. Half and half. "I've changed a little." Qilin Lord Isimu sighed. "How the hell have you changed a little?" Long Xie sounded like he was jealous. "You've become much stronger, haven't you?" As a soul beast, Long Xie could feel how strong Qilin Lord Isimu's body was. Qilin Lord Isimu had a few thousand years of cultivation. He had a much higher starting point than Long Xie. Qilin Lord Isimu had two extremely powerful elements. Long Xie even suspected that Qilin Lord Isimu could fight a 100,000-year soul beast without being 10,000 years old. In addition to Qilin Lord Isimu's powerful spirit, Long Xie felt that he might not be able to defeat him. He felt terrible. Teacher Feng, Senior. The rest of the people also gathered around, their eyes filled with concern. Jiang Nan was the most worried. She had no choice. She had waited for 3 days, but nothing happened. She was already extremely anxious in her heart. Wang Feng waved his hand and said, "I'm fine." "Oh yes, you guys are lucky this time. I found 3 suitable soul-bonded beasts for you. However, it's up to you guys now." Wang Feng gestured, and the 2 soul beasts behind him, the Diamond Dragon Hawk and the Jade Shell Crystal Monster, walked out. Everyone was stunned. "Isn't this the Diamond Dragon Hawk?" Xiao Xiao was surprised to see the Diamond Dragon Hawk behind Wang Feng. This type of eagle had the demeanor of a king. It was very small, even smaller than the Golden Cat Eagle. It was just big enough to stand on Wang Feng's shoulder. However, its entire body was golden, and every feather was like gold. It gave off a feeling that it was indestructible. Its eyes were cold and aggressive. It looked down on everyone, and it had the demeanor of an expert. In a chapter. Chapter 1148. Although it only had 500 to 600 years of cultivation, it couldn't be underestimated. Normal 1,000-year soul beasts might not even be its match. Wang Feng smiled as he stroked the Diamond Dragon Hawk's head. The Diamond Dragon Hawk had been reborn as a soul beast. Fortunately, they weren't deeply infected. Otherwise, they might not have been able to recover. Xiao Xiao excitedly ran in front of Wang Feng, wanted to touch the Diamond Dragon Eagle, but was rejected by the Diamond Dragon Eagle. It turned its head away and didn't even look at her. "Teacher," Xiao Xiao's face turned bitter. "It doesn't seem to accept me." "Nonsense, it doesn't even know you. Why would it accept you?" Wang Feng stared at Xiao Xiao speechlessly. "Play a song. Use what you're best at to attract its attention." Xiao Xiao's eyes lit up again. She summoned her martial soul, the 9 Phoenix worshipping flute, and played a melodious song. She infused her emotions into the song and used her voice to convey her inner emotions. Music was a medium for spiritual communication across species. The Diamond Dragon Hawk was obviously attracted by the flute song, which was why its gaze fell on Xiao Xiao. It looked at her reluctantly. "Go!" Wang Feng touched the Diamond Dragon Hawk's head. The Diamond Dragon Hawk screeched and flew towards Xiao Xiao. Ma Xiaodao, who was watching from the side, was a little nervous. This soul beast was very aggressive. If she didn't fight, Xiao Xiao would be in danger. Fortunately, her worries were unnecessary. The Diamond Dragon Hawk flew to Xiao Xiao's feet and flapped its wings a few times. It seemed to enjoy Xiao Xiao's song. Wang Feng nodded slightly when he saw this. "Teacher, I love you so much." "Thank you." Xiao Xiao put away her jade flute and gently stroked the Diamond Dragon Hawk's head. She had concealed her thoughts and immediately looked at Wang Feng with sparkling eyes. Wang Feng waved his hand. "Love it more than you love me. Nurture it well." Xiao Xiao giggled and nodded. "Yuhao, this Jade Shell Crystal Monster is a rare spiritual type soul beast. At the same time, it has an extremely strong defense." Wang Feng pointed to the Jade Shell Crystal Monster and said, "Treat it as the first soul beast that I found for you. You'll have to find more in the future." You can communicate with it using your spiritual power. This soul beast was very gentle. Plus, you're a spirit type, so it'll be easy for them to accept you. It was a spiritual type soul beast, and it had extremely strong defenses. This was a rather perfect combination. Most spiritual type soul beasts had weak defenses, like the silver patterned silkworm. Even the million-year-old sweet dream iceworm was like this. You're really lucky, kid. Boss was able to find you such a rare spiritual type soul beast. This jade shell essence crystal monster can be considered a rare spiritual type soul beast with an ancient bloodline. In terms of value, it's much more valuable than the amethyst rhinoceros and the diamond dragonhawk. After hearing this, Hui Yuhao walked over excitedly. Hui Yuhao closed his eyes and communicated with the crystal monster for a moment. The crystal monster floated to his side and let out a friendly cry. In the end, Wang Dong couldn't help but feel a little anxious when he saw that both of them had soul-bound beasts while she didn't. Teacher, what about me? Wang Dong couldn't help but ask as he walked out. No, I haven't found anyone suitable for you, Wang Feng said with narrowed eyes. Wang Dong was immediately disappointed. Teacher, you're biased. Seeing this, Hui Yuhao hesitated for a moment before saying, Wang Dong, I already have one. Do you want? He wanted to ask if he should give the crystal monster to Wang Dong first. After all, he already had a silver-patterned silkworm. Before he could finish speaking, Wang Feng interrupted him. Shut up. Hui Yuhao was stunned as he saw Wang Feng looking at him with a stern expression. I knew you'd do this, Wang Feng said sternly. Do you think a soul-bound beast is an object? That you can give it to someone else just because you want it? Let's not talk about whether the talisman is compatible. Even if you agree, do you know that you'll never be able to sign a life contract with this soul-bound beast again if you really say that? After hearing this, Hui Yuhao immediately lowered his head in shame. Teacher, I was wrong. It's good that you know you were wrong, Wang Feng said in a low voice. Remember, you can let your soul-bound beast help anyone, but you can't give the soul-bound beast that's about to become yours to anyone else. Furthermore, you just communicated with it mentally. Always remember that a soul-bound beast isn't an object. If you've just discovered this crystal monster and haven't decided to make it your soul-bound beast, you can give it to someone else. However, you've already communicated with it and have decided to make it your soul-bound beast. You can't have any thoughts of giving it away. Even if you do, the first thing you have to do is ask for its opinion. You can only say something like that if it agrees. You can't just make decisions for it. Remember, you're partners, not superior and subordinate. You're also not master and servant. Hui Yuhao was stunned by Wang Feng's words. The rest of the people were also stunned. Wang Feng shook his head. Although they understood the life contract, they still subconsciously treated themselves as the master. This concept originated from a human nature of the Douluo continent after tens of thousands of years. It wasn't Hui Yuhao's fault. Wang Feng told them about this concept because he wanted them to abandon their natural sense of superiority. Otherwise, they would reach a bottleneck sooner or later and clash with their soul-bound master. When that happened, it was possible that their life contract would backfire. They would never be able to reach the most tacit understanding with their soul-bound beast. Soul-bound master, soul-bound beast, Hui Yuhao and the others gained another level of understanding towards this profession. Wang Dong, this is your soul beast. Finally, Wang Feng took out the flaming sunflower. This type of soul beast was relatively precious and didn't need to grow inside the diagram. It could absorb heaven and earth yuan qi, and it was just easier to absorb it in the soil. It could also absorb all kinds of nutrients in the earth to grow better. However, the appearance of this beautiful flower still gave Wang Dong a huge shock. This was because she immediately fell in love with this flower. It was about the size of 3 palms and had a pure white stamen in the middle of its petals. Plant-type martial souls are very compatible with your butterfly goddess. As long as you release your martial soul and make simple contact with it, it won't reject you. Next, you'll have to nurture your relationship with it, Wang Feng instructed. Hearing this, Wang Dong hurriedly released his radiant butterfly goddess. He walked in front of Wang Feng and took the flower from his hands. Just as Wang Feng had said, plant-type martial souls were very compatible with the radiant butterfly goddess, especially flower-type martial souls. The flaming sunflower didn't struggle as it was held in Wang Dong's hands. "Thank you, teacher," Wang Dong said sincerely. She had never admired or worshipped this mysterious Wang Feng as much as she did now. "In the future, you'll have to depend on yourselves." Wang Feng nodded. In the future, their soul-bound beasts would have to depend on themselves. Jiang Nanan couldn't help but feel envious as she watched from the side. Author's note: it's a bit late in a chapter. Chapter 1149. Jiang Nanan was very interested in soul-carving beasts after the past few days. However, she knew that it wasn't easy to become a soul carver. She was a little envious when she saw how Teacher Feng was able to bring so many rare soul beasts to his students so easily. Everyone looked at their new soul beasts with excitement in their eyes. They seemed to be talking to each other. Wang Feng turned his gaze and suddenly saw the golden-head owl. "Did you bully it, Long Xie?" Wang Feng frowned. The golden owl didn't seem to be hurt, but its eyes were cold. It was especially calm when it looked at Long Xie. It was the calm before the storm. "I didn't." Long Xie let out a yelp of surprise as he flew over. "How could I possibly bully a 100-year soul beast?" he asked with a confused look on his face. "Boss, it doesn't seem to be hurt at all. If I bullied it, would it still be as good as new with its small body?" Screech! The golden owl seemed to hear something. It screeched at Long Xie. "Look, it's getting excited." Long Xie coughed a few times. Jiang Nanan muttered to herself. She didn't want to snitch on Long Xie. After all, it was Long Xie's business. "Bullshit. Do you think your boss is a pushover?" Wang Feng angrily slapped Long Xie. "You think I can't see it?" As he spoke, Wang Feng walked over and patted the golden owl. It looked a lot bigger than before. It had become a lot stronger over the past 3 days. Long Xie must have bullied it, and then he treated it like it was before. That was how the golden owl had improved so quickly. The process must have been very tragic. The golden-head owl did not whine pitifully at Wang Feng. It seemed that it had a tough personality. He glared at Long Xie as if he wanted to eat him alive. "What are you looking at?" Long Xie laughed disdainfully. "I admit that I bullied it." "Boss, look, didn't its cultivation increase? Furthermore, it's too tough. If it doesn't get lucky, it won't be able to survive for long in the soul beast forest. If it were any other powerful soul beast, it would have swallowed it whole." Wang Feng glared at Long Xie. Long Xie immediately shut up and drew circles on the ground with his claws. Jiang Nanan covered her mouth and chuckled. She felt that the relationship between the soul contract master and the soul contract beast was really interesting. "Little fellow, do you want to come with me?" Wang Feng looked at the golden-headed cat eagle and patted it. This little thing had some fate with him. Even though its bloodline was ordinary, its personality wasn't bad. With a bit of nurturing, it would definitely become a great talent in the future. If that didn't work, he could find a master for it. "Oh, that's good." Long Xie chuckled. If this little eagle dared to leave with its master, he would have plenty of opportunities to bully this little thing in the future. He was even a little addicted to it. Unexpectedly, the golden-head owl shook its head. It looked at Wang Feng and let out a soft cry before flying away. Before leaving, he even turned around to look at Wang Feng and Jiang Nanan. Jiang Nanan hurriedly waved at the golden-head owl and said loudly, "Goodbye, little owl. I will visit you often in the future." Their relationship wasn't bad. Wang Feng laughed. Actually, soul contract masters had to choose soul beasts that were suitable for them. But in fact, if they were fated to be together, they would have the highest priority. Wang Feng couldn't predict how strong the soul contract master and his soul contract beast would become in the future. This was because his smuff hadn't reached rank 100 yet. But there was one flaw that Wang Feng could exploit. Even though the bloodline of a soul beast determined the upper limit of a soul beast, the soul contract beast would definitely become stronger as it grew with its master. Changes would occur, and the bond between them would become deeper. When that happened, there might be other changes. Jiang Nanan and this golden-head owl weren't very compatible, but if they were fated to be together, the golden-head owl wouldn't be weak if it became Jiang Nanan's soul contract beast. The bond between different life forms would cause different life forms to change. Let's go back first. Zhang Lishuan walked over from behind and gave Wang Feng a deep look. All of you go back first. Wang Feng said casually, I will patrol the forest again to see if there are other evil soul beasts. Zhang Lishuan, protect them well. I will come back later. He wanted to see if there were any more eggs of those evil soul beasts nearby. If there were, he would deal with them directly. He didn't want to leave any problems behind. Zhang Lishuan nodded and led everyone back to Shrek Academy. The evil soul beasts in the purple maple forest had been dealt with for now, but Zhang Lishuan wasn't sure if there were other powerful evil soul beasts in other parts of the forest. They walked very quickly. In less than a day, they weren't far from Shrek City. After entering the city, if you can't keep your soul beasts, you have to tie them up for now. Zhang Lishuan instructed a few of them. Otherwise, the appearance of soul beasts in the city will cause chaos. Even though the academy does rear some soul beasts, they aren't rare or powerful. They're only used to introduce soul beasts to the students and to train them in battle. They aren't wild and are very different from the soul beasts in the forest outside. The few of them nodded. As they hadn't reached rank 30 yet, they couldn't absorb the soul rings of their soul beasts and couldn't absorb them into their soul domains. They could only keep them by their side. Fortunately, these soul beasts weren't very big, as they only had a few hundred years of cultivation. The only big one was the amethyst rhino. Zhang Lishuan and the others left the purple maple soul beast forest. Wang Feng brought Lin Lord Bingmu along and started a search. Lin Lord Bingmu was born from an eggshell, and his cultivation was only around 5,500 years. It wasn't hard to imagine how much energy Lin Lord Bingmu had absorbed from the eggshell. Most of them had already formed a body. The origin energy of heaven and earth in this era is much denser than before. Lin Lord Bingmu sighed. Many powerful soul beasts must have been born over the past few thousand years, right? Such dense origin energy of heaven and earth means that 1 year of cultivation is equivalent to 10 years of cultivation for soul beasts. Furthermore, this level of origin energy of heaven and earth will give birth to many treasures and large batches of powerful soul beasts. There should be a lot more 100,000-year soul beasts now. 10,000-year soul beasts are also very common. Lin Lord Bingmu was the same as Long Xie. He followed Wang Feng into the Rainbow Mountain to recuperate and recover his soul. He didn't know much about the outside world. However, Lin Lord Bingmu was able to analyze the situation with his senses. This era shouldn't be the most glorious era for Douluo. Wang Feng laughed. From what I know, during the Third World War, there were 3 digits of 100,000-year soul beasts. That was recorded in the official history books of the Federation. In fact, there were even more. There were countless titled Douluo during that era. After the war, their numbers started to decrease. With the appearance of the Soul Core system, their numbers slowly returned to normal, but their fighting strength increased. Lin Lord Bingmu was shocked when he heard this, especially those 100,000-year soul beasts that were close to 3 digits. This was a little exaggerated. There were at most 3,400,000-year soul beasts on the continent from 10,000 years ago. End of chapter. Chapter 1150. There weren't even 10 of them in the extreme north. At least Lin Lord Bingmu knew that. Lin Lord Bingmu wasn't sure about the other places, but he didn't think there were many of them. The cultivation of soul beasts was slow to begin with, but in just a few thousand years, there had been so many. It was enough to see how exaggerated the energy tides had been. After the life soul contract was passed down, the cultivation speed of soul beasts won't be much slower than humans. Wang Feng said, there was a price to pay. They had to give up their life force to the Soul Master. They had to raise the potential of the Soul Master. For people like you who are recultivating, your cultivation speed will be even faster. Wang Feng sighed. I'll reach rank 30 in a few months. After I absorb my soul ring, you can enter the soul domain freely. We'll go to the extreme north then. All right. Lin Lord Bingmu nodded. Lin Lord Bingmu looked like a soul beast as he flew in midair. However, his aura was different from that of soul beast. There was a kind of awe-inspiring divine might. That black and white body looked extremely cool. Fortunately, Lin Lord Bingmu retracted his aura. Otherwise, his darkness-type aura would cause a huge commotion in the forest. Ordinary thousand-year soul beasts wouldn't be able to retract their aura even if they had intelligence. It was a pity that Lin Lord Bingmu was a million-year soul beast. His experience and abilities were at his fingertips. He was similar to Long Xie in this aspect. As for which one of them was more ancient, it was hard to say. In terms of birth, Long Xie was probably more ancient than all the other soul beasts. He was an evil thought that was born before the dragon god became a godly king. However, it took a long time for this evil thought to develop its own consciousness. By then, Lin Lord Bingmu was already born. That was why Long Xie didn't look as old as Lin Lord Bingmu. Furthermore, Long Xie was rejected by the dragon clan. This was because he was expelled by the dragon god. Back then, he absorbed the evil thought for many years before he developed his own consciousness. He was also very resentful. He didn't like the descendants of the dragon god and the dragon clan. Without Hui Yuhao and the others, Wang Feng, Long Xie, and Qilin Lord Isimu quickly searched the entire Soul Beast Forest. When Hui Yuhao and the others walked into Shrek City, they caused quite a commotion. Fortunately, they were all holding their soul beasts in their arms or tying them up with ropes for the time being. When the patrolling guards saw that they were from the Shrek Academy and that Zhang Lishuan was there, they didn't stop them. Shrek City's security guards came from the Shrek Academy's guardians. They were the Shrek Academy's only armed organization. They were officially organized by the Federation and had less than 100 people. They could be considered the only existence among the many academies. Generally, other academies would not have armed organizations, not to mention the recognition of the Federation and the official establishment. This formal establishment meant that in addition to representing the Shrek Academy, it also represented the Federation to a certain extent. In order to ensure that the soul beasts around you aren't aggressive, please allow us to inspect them. Outside the city gates, the guards nodded at Zhang Lishuan in a friendly manner. This was because the Shrek Academy itself had a number of soul beasts, and most of them were captured or picked up by the Academy. However, these soul beasts were chained up with special chains and shackles. However, these soul beasts had no protective measures. What if they hurt someone in the city? Let them inspect them. They are the deputy members of the Shrek Guardians. They are in charge of order and safety in the city. This Captain Yu could be considered your senior. Zhang Lishuan looked at Hui Yuhao and the others. A few of them nodded. This was because they were already familiar with the soul beast that they had formed soul pacts with. In addition, their intelligence had increased. Other than the Diamond Dragonhawk, which was naturally more arrogant, the rest were more docile. They cooperated with the guards' inspection. Captain, these soul beasts, one of the guards focused on them and whispered, "Their intelligence is unusually high. How strange, what a pity. They are all from the Academy. These few should be soul charlatans. Senior Zhang, we can't let you in for the time being." The captain muttered to himself for a moment and looked at the few of them. "You know about soul charlatans too?" Xiao Xiao asked in surprise. "Why can't you let us in? Our soul beasts are fine." "Of course we know." The captain laughed and said, "I am from the inner courtyard of the Academy. We are from the Guardians. Although we are only deputy members, we know everything about the Academy. As for why we can't let you in, it's because your soul beasts are fine. However, it's not the right time for you to return." At this moment, the captain sighed and said, "You've been gone for 7 to 8 days. I wonder what happened during these 7 to 8 days. Louis, what happened during these few days?" Zhang Lishuan furrowed her brow. Eldest senior's sister, Captain Lu whispered, "Didn't Elder Mu and Elder Xian return a few days ago? However, I heard that the Academy released the soul beasts that were kept in the beast dueling arena, or killed them. I don't know the exact reason." Later on, the news of the Soul Renderer Guild being a soul renderer spread out, and several academies heard about it. News about soul charlatans started to spread 4 months ago when Wang Feng made his first move in the soul dueling area of the Shrek Academy. With the current speed of information transmission, there weren't any high-end communication devices. However, the speed of information was still very fast. Zhang Lishuan wasn't surprised. However, the timing was a little critical. Shrek City is semi-independent. Although the Federation doesn't participate in the governance of the city, they've been paying attention to Shrek City. Captain Lu coughed a few times and said, "After that, people from the other academies came looking for us 2 days ago. They believed that soul charlatans were evil, especially during this sensitive period. They demanded that we stop the spread of such evil practices and that we hand over this student." However, Elder Mu and Elder Xian suppressed this for the time being. However, the Federation's headquarters also received news recently. They even intervened with the Federation's Martial Soul Inspection Department. It's very troublesome. Zhang Lishuan knew that this was a sensitive period. These evil soul beasts' eggs must have caused a lot of trouble. If all of you return to the academy now, the best outcome would be to kill all these soul beasts. The worst outcome would be to be taken away. Captain Lu finished speaking and looked at the few of them. After hearing this, the few of them were confused. However, their expressions changed when they heard the best outcome. I didn't expect the situation to be so troublesome. Zhang Lishuan furrowed her brow. She had only been gone for 6 to 7 days, and so many things had happened. End of chapter. Chapter 1151. Yesterday, Dean Yin came to find me personally. He told you to hide and wait for a while when you return to Shrek City. Captain Le looked at them, but he didn't see that teacher. Let's not talk about the academy that's looking for trouble. The people from the Martial Soul Inspection Department are very troublesome. Everyone fell silent. Martial Soul Inspection Department. I've heard teacher mention it before. Hikaitu muttered softly. It's the highest law enforcement organization directly under the Central Martial Soul Palace. The Soul Masters there are at least Soul de Law. Every single one of them is the strongest among the strong. Their position in the Federation is the kind that everyone is afraid of. No family or school is willing to see these people from the inspection department appear. He knew a little. The rest of them were stunned. They didn't know anything. How can they do this? Wang Dong said angrily. Being a soul contract master isn't an evil path. I think these academies are just looking for trouble, right? I'll go back to. That's right, Xiao Xiao said angrily. Why aren't they letting us return to the academy? Why don't we listen to Senior Brother Li's words? Hui Yuhao thought for a moment. The situation is so complicated. If we return to the academy, we'll cause even more trouble. When that happens, we'll even trouble our teachers. I think this is just a temporary situation. Let's hide for a few days and wait for them to leave. It should be fine after that. You little brat, you can still say this calmly. Ma Xiaotao looked at Hui Yuhao with a strange expression. Yuhao is right. You just signed life contracts with these soul beasts. You'll cause a lot of trouble when you return to the academy. You even brought soul beasts with you. Let's not return to the academy for now. Let's wait for a few days. After she finished speaking, Ma Xiaotao looked at Zhang Lishuan. Senior Sister Zhang, what do you think? Zhang Lishuan fell silent. Shrek Academy had always been the #1 academy on the continent. However, there were many other academies that competed with them. In this era, there were many different academies, and the competition was very intense. Zhang Lishuan could roughly guess that some academies were trying to make things difficult for the Shrek Academy because they wanted to attack the Shrek Academy's reputation. They wanted to make use of the fact that the eggs of the evil soul beasts had exploded in various soul beast forests to increase the threat of soul beasts. Now that the eggs of the evil soul beasts had appeared in the various large forests, it was very likely that a special battle would break out if the soul beasts were infected. The situation was naturally very tense. Furthermore, this soul render needed to form a partnership with a soul beast, so it was easy for him to become a target of criticism. Otherwise, the Martial Soul Inspection team wouldn't have intervened. But this makes it seem like we have a guilty conscience. Wang Dong curled his lips and said, "If we hide, doesn't that mean that we're guilty?" In their eyes, it's probably even more unorthodox. Otherwise, why would they hide? Everyone was stunned. What he said seemed to make sense. That's right. Xiao Xiao stretched out her hand. If it were up to me, we should return to the academy and prove that we aren't from some heretical path. We will deal with whatever comes our way. We have a clear conscience. Ma Xiaodao rubbed her chin. What these guys said made sense. They weren't from any heretical path, so why did they have to hide? Furthermore, the academy was definitely on their side. They were students of the Shrek Academy. Why should they be afraid? Furthermore, their soul beasts weren't evil soul beasts. What was there to be afraid of? That makes sense. I support you. Hikaitu laughed. However, his voice was full of energy. Our soul beasts aren't evil soul beasts anyway. Hui Yuhao came to his senses. That's right. What was there to be afraid of? Captain Lu was stunned. He laughed and said, "You're indeed students of the Shrek Academy. You're responsible, you're unyielding, and you're not afraid of anything. Since that's the case, I won't stop you. I'll tell you about this too." As he spoke, Captain Lu stepped aside. Zhang Lishuan thought for a moment, but didn't stop him. These kids had already entered the Shrek Academy, and they had the right to make their own choices. This was their choice. Let's return to the academy then. Zhang Lishuan scanned a few of them. Your teacher might be back later. I hope that you won't embarrass him or the Shrek Academy. Those people from the academy will definitely make things difficult for you when they see you. It's up to you whether you can protect your soul beasts or not. Hui Yuhao and the others were immediately energized when they heard this. They were all very energetic as they walked towards the Shrek Academy in the city with their soul beasts. Shrek Academy. The wind was a little bleak. Although there was no sun today, a cool breeze brushed past his face, giving him a refreshing feeling. In front of the few statues. At this moment, there were two groups of people wearing two different outfits. They were staring at the statues. Dean Yin, I didn't expect these statues to be so intact, even though I haven't been here for so many years. The person who spoke was an elder with white hair. He wore a long purple robe, and his face was old. However, his eyes were clear and spirited, and he was full of energy. His entire body exuded a faint soul power undulation, which was very frightening. Behind this elder, there were a few middle-aged men and young men and women. Although his face was calm, there was a hint of arrogance in his demeanor. Only when he looked at the statues did he have a hint of respect. Of course. Yin Xiaozhe looked at this elder. Speaking of which, our Purple Star College also has a statue of Jiu Ikai. It's a pity that it doesn't have a god like yours. The elder seemed a little regretful. Jiu Ikai used his identity as a student of Purple Star College to win the Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament. It's a story that will never be forgotten. Over the past 10,000 years, no one has been able to do that. The Shrek Academy has produced many talents. Although Jiu Ikai is from the academy, he is still very talented. However, no one has been able to inherit Jiu Ikai's arrogance. I wonder when such a person will appear again. The elder sighed as he spoke. He wasn't being sarcastic. Yin Xiaozhe laughed and said, "That's difficult. Now that the rules of the Elite Soul Master Tournament have been changed, many restrictions have been removed. However, even so, no one has been able to do that. In addition, there are also high-level Soul Masters. They are divided into the junior and youth divisions, as well as the Douluo Heavenly King Tournament. It's impossible for one person to win the tournament alone. The rules are different, but they can't be compared. It has nothing to do with the academy." Dean Chen's words are a little biased. After he finished speaking, Yin Xiaozhe laughed. Qian Duo and a few others followed behind him. Purple Star College. Why is this old fellow here? Qian Duo muttered in his heart. Purple Star College was also one of the top academies in the Federation. In the current Federation, there were many academies in the 3 political regions. Although Shrek Academy was the #1 academy in the continent, it was still very powerful. In a chapter that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.